Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Uptown Parlay Podcast. Now, your host, Ace.
How does
Just
Ace
trying to
start
get
this?
adjusted
Welcome.
to this.
He
Yeah,
starts it with
he's
a
like,
welcome.
"Welcome to the
I'm
Uptown
not
Party
starting
Cast."
like that. Fuck, I'm
With
not
the low
starting like
voice and
that.
everything like
Yo,
that.
yo, 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 yo. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Uptown Parlay Podcast. I am your host today. This is Malik, and Ace is not here. Ace is not here. Oh, he's technically here, but he's not here. He may pop in every a couple of times, but you know what? The inmates have taken over the asylum. It's me. It's Ant.
Take over.
It's Levon. We're here in full effect,
Over.
ready to rock out and give you these picks for this week 7 of the NFL, week 8 of the college football season as well. How y'all doing, fellas? What's going on?
I'm doing awesome. I'm on a cloud nine right now after being let down on Monday, but
Is that cloud 9 or cloud 17?
cloud 17.
Cloud 17 it is.
And
Yeah.
you are just as delusional as you always have been. If I were you, I would be utterly disgusted, despondent, but I'm gonna let you have that. I am going to let you have that.
Well, let's start there. Let's start there since before we get into the picks, obviously got some big headlines coming out of this week's coming out of week 6 in the NFL.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a whole bunch of well, I would say there's about 2 weeks worth of conversation. The Jets have honestly, they've been the talk of the NFL, at least not on Sundays, but the talk of like Monday to Saturday. They've been the talk of the NFL for the past 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, they fired Robert Saleh coming off of the London trip. And then this week, they kicked off trade season by acquiring Davante Adams from the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, we knew Davante Adams was on the trade block. We knew that he was going to be eventually traded, and the Jets were obviously one of the two teams that he mentioned as being, where he wanted to go. And then I'd say about 2 hours after the announcement was made that Davante Adams was going to the Jets, a second announcement came with the Buffalo Bills, first place Buffalo Bills, deciding that they needed to upgrade their receiver situation as well, acquiring Amari Cooper from the Cleveland Browns.
That was basically checkmate type of moves, chess moves right there.
Interesting. Well, we'll get into it because I really want your thoughts on like how this whole thing shook out, being the resident Jet fan here and where everything started, where it came from. But I think the first question I have really is, and Levon, I think you could start off with this. Which of the two do you think will have a bigger impact both on their team and their division? Are you talking Davante Adams or are you leaning to Amari Cooper? Which one do you think is going to have a bigger impact on the team?
Well, I think Amari Cooper is going to have the biggest impact because, I mean, he's both are just pieces, right? At this point, they're just pieces. They're both 2 wide receivers, well past their prime, but still capable of being solid contributors. At one time, they were legit 1A, bona fide wide receiver ones, top fantasy guys, but they're not those guys anymore. They're not those guys anymore. And, you figure Buffalo got somebody because I think their wide receiver group is like last in every major statistical category. So they needed somebody to bring those numbers up. And Josh is better at this point in his career than Aaron is. That's obvious to everybody. So, Buffalo, I think maybe they tried to get Adams, and when they failed to get him, they settled. I don't know. But I think the Amari Cooper one, all things being even, is going to mean more to Buffalo than Davante Adams is going to mean to the Jets. They're both just pieces. It's not like these are Band-Aids for both teams, in my opinion, just Band-Aids for, Buffalo makes more sense because I think they have a better chance of actually winning the Super Bowl this year or contending, where the Jets need to just be resigned to their fate, which is, top 10 in the draft yet again. I mean, that's where it's going.
Oh, that's what the Giants are at, but we're not talking about that.
That's without a doubt. I'm under no delusions like you are. Both of our records are the same. So, I mean, why you think that somehow Aaron Rodgers, all his ills are going to be fixed because he added a guy when he was in Green Bay and successful they did something so many years ago. I mean, both of them are older now. They've both been on multiple teams. Well, not multiple teams. Aaron Rodgers is just one other team. Now this is multiple teams for
And Adams
Adams.
too. Adams only been on one other team, Vegas.
Well,
Yeah,
no, Raiders,
team out there.
Jets. I'm counting the Jets too.
Well, he hasn't actually played for the Jets yet, so I guess. Yeah,
okay. But it's like, you know, and then the NFL, much like in the NBA, but more so in the NFL, top talent very rarely leaves like that. It just doesn't happen. When teams are willing to give away players, it's usually because those players, they might still be good, but their game-changing, season-affecting ways are well behind them. And I'm not talking about free agency. I'm talking about actual trades, especially mid-season. It's not like in basketball or baseball, you know. It's not like that. Name one mid-season trade that like affected a season to the point where it helped the team like make the playoffs, get to the championship, or win the Super Bowl.
The only one that resonates with me, and it was relatively recent, was Von Miller going to the Rams right around the trade deadline during the 2021 season, and you know, being almost the missing piece to that defense.
That team would have won without him.
They were having difficulty generating pass rush with just
Aaron Donald.
Oh, okay. And when he came in and was able to solidify that edge and give them that pass rushing presence, he really made a difference for them from that standpoint. That's the only one I can think of. But and I want to kick it over to you a little bit because obviously, you know, Levon pointing out that acquiring a player and Levon, I completely agree with you from the standpoint of being like, these guys are pieces. These guys are not you know, world-changing talents. And I just don't think receivers, just in general, with the exception of very few, I don't think receiver is the position that you acquire and you immediately change the outlooks of the team, of the organization, because there's a lot of pieces that go into place of that.
And let me just add this really quick, super quick. On top of the fact that the Jets already had a 1A guy who was looking like a 1A guy before Rodgers got there, and all of a sudden now they feel he's not, that they got to go out and get Adams. It just, for Buffalo, it makes sense. Their receivers are not very good. They win in spite of that. But the Jets, they don't have a problem. They already have Wilson. Wilson is talented, you know, but it's just, to me, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll give my opinion on the Buffalo side of things as well. But I wanted to kick it over to you and your thoughts on try to be as non-biased, as impartial as possible in terms of which receiver do you think is going to have the best impact on the team and on the division.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard, but I'm going to go with the Jets, of course. But
well, at least give some concrete answers as to why.
As far as for the Buffalo, they did make a good trade right there, because the thing is that they really needed that key piece receiver. Yes, he's going to be just like Levon was saying, he's going to be a cog in the wheel or whatever. He's not going to be like the number one guy type of thing. Like, you know, he's not going to be dude from Minnesota. He's not going to be that guy coming over. But the thing is that they needed that type of that alpha receiver. They didn't have that. They got rid of Diggs because they didn't want to have Diggs' problem. If Diggs didn't have his baggage issues in the background, they would have kept him. They needed to replace that. So that's why it was good for them. And I can see why everybody in the media and everybody's going for that, saying, yes, that put them back in the driver's seat as far as being a Super Bowl contender type of thing. The Jets, I'm not going to say that getting Devontae Adams is, you know, getting a world beater, number one super receiver, whatever like that. Yes, he's going to be a cog in the piece or whatever. But the difference is that what you saw in the last play, what happened with Aaron Rodgers on Monday when he got picked off, he was trying to pass it to Mike Williams. Everybody keeps saying he's throwing him under the bus, but he was basically explaining exactly what would have happened if Mike Williams actually knew exactly what Aaron Rodgers wanted, something that Devontae Adams do know by playing with him. He would, with the red line type of thing that he kept on talking about, that he was basically saying that was a touchdown play right there. And quite, Mike Williams went the wrong way, went the wrong route. But the thing is that not only this opens up the door because you got somebody who, because I was actually listening to all the things that Devontae Adams was saying all day, even though I was supposed to be working. Basically, he was saying that Rogers was throwing all of his little signals and everything like that at him, and he still remembered every single type of thing. So it's gonna be quite. It might not be as crisp as it was in Green Bay, but you're gonna see it right there. It's gonna open it up for Garrett Wilson, because the thing is that they really originally drafted Garrett Wilson not to be on the outside, but more to be in the slot type of thing, more to be like what's in Cooper Kupp type of situation. So he gets to move down into in a slot role. You're gonna have Devontae on one side, you're gonna have Alexander on the other side, and maybe once in the blue moon, you're gonna be shuffling in and out. Mike Williams, if they keep him, I don't know, play with Lazard or whatever. Because as you can see from last game and even the game before that, Lazard is actually, for some strange reason, was catching the balls really good with, because the thing is that just like with Adams, he actually knows what Rodgers wants. And that's the thing about Rodgers is different from most of these quarterback systems, is that Rodgers is that old school type of thing that, that he just makes the plays on the fly, like, basically like a backyard type of play type of thing. Well, these days they use everything like motions and everything like that. They make everything easier. Aaron Rodgers is used to those type of other situations. They might be mixing it. They might, as you saw on Monday, they might be mixing those motions in now because they got rid of Salah and they demoted Hackett. But it still comes down to what Aaron sees out there and how he's going to pick apart that defense. So I think that's the reason why I mostly think that it's going to be a better move for the Jets, because it's going to open up more. And it's going to be harder for the defenses to guard 1A on Adams and 1A and Garrett Wilson in the slot, and even Mike Williams and all these other guys.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, it's even going to make the running game even better too.
Well, I just wanted to say really quickly in response to one thing he said. It wasn't too long ago where Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback who made receivers on his team look good. That's what we said about him. He would take the Robert Brookses of the world, the Lazards of the world, the Jordy Nelsons, all of these receivers he would take who on other teams, they would be average, and he made them into Pro Bowl wideouts. And now it's to the point where we have to trade for guys that he's comfortable with in order for him to function properly. He can't throw the ball effectively to Mike Williams or Garrett Wilson, who, like I said, was coming off a Rookie of the Year season. I mean, wasn't he just Rookie of the Year not too long ago? Him and Sauce. Sauce was D. He was old. Yeah. And now we're saying that, we need to bring in Adams because, Garrett Wilson should be in the slot instead. It just sounds like excuses to me because, Aaron is older. And to Ant's point, times are changing. And I just don't think that bodes well for the Jets. I think times are changing, not going backwards. And if he can't get with the times and do motion and all this other stuff you just said, that should be pretty telling right there.
Well, I think you've seen it from the outside point of view. I understand that, but they also have things that Aaron trying to trust these guys. He's just starting to trust Garrett Wilson. He's really trying to trust him a little bit more. Mike Williams is just coming back from injury. That's the reason why he's getting less of the ball passes to him and stuff like that. You need that extra person for that extra push, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday.
I think my thing is, just kind of to get into this, like I definitely felt like I feel like Devontae to the Jets will have a bigger impact for the team in the division, primarily because of everything that the Bills have lost. To me, the Bills trading for Amari Cooper is them admitting that they did not backfill correctly for the loss of Stephon Diggs. And that they need, in order for them to win a division, they can still be who they are. But in order for them to play at the level of the best teams in the AFC in their conference and potentially, represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, they need, or more importantly, Josh Allen needs that, big time prime target that he can just throw the ball up to, he can rely upon. And so the fact that they lost Diggs, and I agree with you, Ant, I think the Diggs situation was more about personality and fit and all of those things, not necessarily about, the ability or the talent of the player. But the fact that they lost him, this is a move to bring back what they lost, at least from a talent perspective. They're both 30-year-old. Diggs was 31. Cooper's 30 years old. I'm not sure if Cooper's limited production over the past couple of years is more a product of the Deshaun Watson Cleveland Brown situation, or more or a product of him slowing down as a player. I guess we'll see that once he gets with a quarterback who's, arguably speaking, this is the best quarterback situation he's ever had in his career, going from Dallas to then Cleveland and now to Buffalo. So he's going to have an opportunity, if he's healthy and he's ready to go, to show what he can do with a quarterback of Josh Allen's caliber. But Buffalo lost a lot of other things as well. They've lost a lot of other pieces, tons of pieces on their defensive side of the ball, and they just haven't looked like the type of they haven't looked like themselves. They're depending a lot on a lot of young guys, and so to me, sure, Cooper does make them better, but he probably brings them back to the point where they were last year, which is, when they had Diggs, which is a division winner, just like they've been before. They're going to win, maybe get a playoff game in Buffalo, win that game. And then, they'll get up against Baltimore or Cincinnati or Kansas City, and you'll be picking against them because they haven't advanced themselves to anything beyond what they were. They had Diggs and they got Cooper. Maybe you're talking about something different. The Jets, I still think the Jets are, their fortunes, looking at Ant's background here, I still think that the Jets' fortunes rely primarily on the guy to Aaron Rodgers' left, behind Aaron Rodgers to his left, and that's the running game. That's Breece Hall. That's the running game. When the Jets have been good, when they have been productive this season, it's been behind that running attack. We had conversations, and I remember you talked about it like weeks 2, 3, or whatever. That combination of Breece Hall, Jalen Allen, or Braylon Allen, sorry. And that being the, kind of the foundation by which everything else is based off of. Aaron Rodgers is a 41-year-old quarterback. He still has, some of his arm talent. He definitely still has the brain and the mental for the game. He can definitely still play at a high level, but it seems like, at 41 years old, he can play at a high level for short stretches. He's not going to be the 400 yards. I don't give a damn how many receivers you give the man. He's not going to be, 400 yards and 4 touchdowns a game, but he shouldn't be 3 interceptions against the Minnesota Vikings. He shouldn't be 2 interceptions against the Buffalo Bills, and making just plays that just don't look Aaron Rodgers like. They don't look like something that is happening because he's not good enough. It seems like it's happening because he's not clicking with his guys. And so this is an opportunity for him to just get, quote unquote, his guys. If Garrett Wilson is one of his guys now, we saw him get 23 targets last week in London, a couple of weeks ago in London. If that's his guy now Davante Adams should open things up for him. But most importantly, Davante Adams being on the outside should force, at the very least, teams to, respect that situation, the receiver situation, and open things up a little bit for the running game. But to me, the Jets' fortunes are based solely on, what they're going to be able to do running the football. How is that offensive line going to be protecting? And if they protect, and if Aaron Rodgers has time, he now has receivers that he feels comfortable making the call, coming up to the line, making the call, and making the play. And he's not worried about, so here's the thing, win or lose, you're not going to hear Aaron Rodgers talk about Davante Adams ran the wrong route. That's not going to happen. like Garrett Wilson might run the wrong route. He might call him out because he's, still a kid or whatever. But you definitely won't hear about Davante Adams running the wrong route. That's not going to happen. You're probably not going to hear about that from any other player on this team. But the fortunes of this team should be, to me, will still rest on the shoulders of Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and that offensive line, with Aaron Rodgers expected to make, the 4 or 5 or 6 plays necessary to keep the chains moving, put points on the board, and not be Zach Wilson. And that's the main thing about it. And this will help him to not be Zach Wilson, not do Zach Wilson things, because he's no longer reliant on receivers that he has no trust in, that he has no faith in. So That's my whole thought. Do you think, Ant, now here's my other part, just part two of this, right? The Jets are 2-4. I haven't looked at the schedule of the next 5 weeks. And we'll get into the picking of this game, this upcoming game with the Steelers. Do you think that this move brings them closer to a division title, or do you think that the division itself, they're 2.5 games behind the Bills, seeing that they've already lost? Do you think that they're just simply playing for the wild card at this point?
No, I think it's going to come down to the wire on this one. They're still in contention for it. It's still early. I don't know why everybody keeps talking about. Quite every team still have a shot technically to still make the playoffs no matter what.
The Patriots don't have a shot. They're done.
Well,
Patriots are done. Okay, the Patriots and the Jaguars are done. They're not. We're not. And Carolina. There's a few teams that we can honestly say right now they won't be in the mix, even though mathematically they could still be in the mix. But go ahead.
Okay, let me revise that. Mathematically, every team is still in the playoff line. But as far as is concerned, this adds a new wrinkle to the Jets, so we have to see how things go. But yes, I still believe that they're still in the hunt. This could still go either way, but I think it's going to come down to the wire on this one. The Jets got a good, easy schedule, so they still have a chance to come back. Technically easy. I'm going to put the quotations, air quotes. Technically easy schedule to come back.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see how that plays out. I know there's definitely some more. I mean, NFL, it feels like this has been an interesting already. The last 2 seasons have been interesting in terms of trades being made at the deadline. So we'll see if any other teams decide to make moves, especially in the AFC with this arms race going on. All right. So next up, week 7 power rankings. I sent you guys the links to ESPN's power rankings at this point in the season. I'm going to run down the top 10 for you guys and see what you guys think about, who's high, who's low, where folks rank in this situation. Did you guys get a chance to see it already or no?
No,
I just clicked it on right now. So
honestly, I was about to click and check it myself, but I didn't get a chance to see it.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna run.
I did open it up though.
I'm gonna run it down for you guys. You tell me where you think it's either high, low, whatever. So top 10, we got KC at 1, Minnesota 2, Detroit 3, Houston 4, Baltimore 5, Buffalo 6, Tampa Bay 7, Green Bay 8. 9 is Washington, 10 San Francisco. Any reaction to the top 10? Any of those teams in the top 10? Anything that stands out to you about any one of those teams that I just mentioned? Levon?
Well, it's always by default that the champs need to be at the top, but I think that's the most is it unimpressive or unimpressive? Either way. 5-0. Unimpressive 5-0. I mean, Mahomes' stats aren't very good. And Anthony's right, even though it's a fact, but it's something people like to just say is not an excuse. They get the benefit of a lot of calls and favoritism from the referees. And they benefit a lot from that. And I think because they're the Chiefs and they're the 2-time defending champs, there's a bit of a colored glasses view of what they do and how they do it. But I don't think they're legit the best team in football. The best team in football is the Minnesota Vikings, which is crazy because they didn't come into the season with any hoopla or any hubbub, and they got to throw away a quarterback and all this other stuff. So it's hard for people to wrap their minds around it. And they're waiting for Minnesota to fall down and come back to the pack, and you hear people say it. And they are the best team in football. Defensively, they play well. Like I said, Sam Darnold is an MVP candidate. They've got the guy on the outside. I mean, they are playing excellent football, and they have been doing it since week 1. I think they should be number 1. I think the Chiefs deserve to be number 2 because they are undefeated. There's nothing on the right side of that column, but I think Minnesota should be number 1. I find that Frisco is all the way down to 10 to be crazy, and I find that Washington's even in the top 10 to be even crazier. But that goes to what I've said about, people's predetermined, thoughts about how teams have been historically. And I just can't see Washington as a good team and wait for them to come back to the pack. But honestly, Washington should probably be a lot higher than 9. I mean, they have played excellent all year. Their quarterback has been excellent all year, but because he's a rookie, we always say, wait for it to level out. Wait. But if we take things as they sit, I think Washington should be top 5. Minnesota should be number 1.
Okay. Ant, what about you?
At first, I was going to disagree with Levon about Minnesota, but then I started looking at their schedule. He got a point. He beat the Giants. They beat the Giants at 28-6. They beat the 49ers, one of the teams that are in the top 10, 23-17. Then they beat the Texans, another team that's in the top 10, 34-7. They beat the Packers, 31-29, and of course they beat my Jets, 23-17. They actually are a good team, and when they face when they face really good teams or good defenses, whatever, they still find a way to win. So yeah, I understand. Put them in the number 1. They don't have the refs are helping them out. I keep throwing that as a joke, but it's kind of true. But yeah, they should be number 1 over there. I like how everything is sort of going out here. As far as the lineup is concerned, switch those 2: Minnesota 1, Kansas City maybe 2, Detroit 3. I kind of like that. Quite the Texans on 4 as a 4th team. That's kind of good there too. Everything up to 6 I kind of like, but I don't like Tampa Bay up there. I don't really believe that they belong to be up there. And I'll quite, just like Levon said, I'll move Washington up there, move Green Bay, keep Green Bay where they're at, and move what's the name? Move San Francisco up there. They've been going through their injuries and stuff like that. They still quite doing their thing.
If Ant's done real quick, the fact the Falcons are not up there, and I think they're in first place, that's crazy. I mean, it's
So
just
the Falcons
dawned
are
on
12.
me.
The Falcons are 12.
And they're in first, and they beat Tampa Bay this year.
And they are technically in first.
They're technically in first. They beat Tampa Bay, and somehow they're not in the top 10. And Tampa Bay is. So that list is 0 credibility with me. I don't know who made it, but right off the rip, that's crazy. Who made that list?
It's ESPN's list. I don't know.
The ESPN is
probably
falling
an amalgam. It's probably a combination of a bunch of different.
See, we're not on the map. I guess I can
it's
say.
combination. It's combination of the. It's usually a combination of their
I can
reporters
say
and stuff like that.
ESPN
It's a combination of a bunch
is
of their writers and reporters.
Well, those guys need to lose their jobs.
So you don't think Ant, you don't think Tampa Bay should be in the top 10, or you just don't think they should be 7?
I don't think they should be 7th.
Okay. So of the teams in 11, 12, 13, any one of those teams do you think should jump them? We got Pittsburgh at 11, Atlanta at 12, Philadelphia at 13. Should they jump into the top 10, or would you say you just put Tampa Bay at, like, you just mix up the bottom, 6 to 10 and keep?
Yeah, I just mix up the bottom 6 to. Yeah, I just mixed up the bottom 6 to 10. I do understand what Levon's talking about, moving Atlanta in there, but the thing is that if you put Tampa Bay down to 10, Atlanta definitely got quite a strong slot to, just like Levon said, to take over, move we'll say Tampa Bay out.
Got it. Okay. I don't disagree with y'all about Minnesota. I mean, obviously to date, they're undefeated, and they've played some good games against some solid teams. I did think that they showed some vulnerability in that game against the Jets. Jets probably should have, definitely could have won that game. I'm not gonna say they should have won that game, but they definitely could have won that game. And
I'll say it for you, could have.
They could have. They absolutely could have. And then I think that the narrative changes. I think Levon, I think you're right. I think the narrative shifts on Minnesota the minute they lose their first game. That's the thing about teams that nobody expects, is like, you get the love until you lose that game. I remember this happening with Seattle a couple of weeks ago when Seattle was 3-0 and they were getting ready to play the Lions, and there was all this talk about, Geno and Seattle and what they were doing, and being 3-0, and then after we beat them on Monday Night Football, immediately they would drop down. I think Minnesota is definitely a squad that needs to be paid attention to. The defense, I've seen at least 2 of their games. I saw the game against the Jets, and I watched the game that they played against Houston. Their defense is legit and has been legit for the last couple of years, especially since Flores has been there. And offensively, O'Connell's a good head coach. He's a good offensive head coach. He's a good play caller. I don't necessarily think that Sam Darnold is markedly better than what Kirk Cousins was giving this team when he was healthy over the course of his career. That's the challenge. To me, that's going to be the challenge of Minnesota. It's not, Minnesota's always been an interesting, good, solid team. They've always had talent. They've always had good players on both sides of the football. I've watched them in the NFC North on a regular basis. I watch them all the time. I know what they're all about. Question about the Vikings is really about when they step up in competition, the season gets later, what's going to happen there. And so, yeah, putting them at 1 now, perfectly fine with that. They're 5-0, and they've played well to this point. They play us this week. That's going to be a big game, and big divisional game. And we'll see where it goes from there. But I think the real judgment of them, people will swing on them really fast if they lose 1 or 2 games. And that's just how it goes with teams that have lower expectations than what they're meeting. And I think the same thing's going to be the same with Washington. Everybody's in love with Washington right now, but they won't be if they lose another game. And this week they play Carolina, so they're probably not. So I'm gonna ask about y'all teams, because y'all teams obviously are in the mix here. Ant, your Jets right now ranked 22nd. In front of them is 21 is Denver. Behind them is Cincinnati. Any immediate thoughts on that?
No, it's well
You
deserved.
think that's about right around those two teams based on where you guys have been so far?
I hate it, but it's well deserved because basically how they've been playing. They're the most penalized team in the NFL. I'm surprised they have not dropped a little bit further than that. And the players are not playing up to what they're supposed to be. You got the left tackle, just basically being a turnstile. You got Aaron Rodgers not being Aaron Rodgers. You got players not, doing basically just players not doing their jobs. The Jets could have won against Minnesota. They could have won against Denver before that. Kicker's not doing his job either. They deserve that ranking spot. Like I said earlier, I'm surprised they're not even further than that.
All right, and Levon, your Giants, New York Football Giants, are 25, behind Miami and in front of Los Angeles. Is that about right? You think? How would you assess where the Giants have been so far this season?
Rankings. That list, I already said that list lost all credibility with me because I could never put, if teams are close, which Atlanta and Tampa Bay are, I could never put Tampa Bay ahead of Atlanta when they lost to them and Atlanta's in first place in this same division. But that aside, they have us where they have us on the list. I'll just comment on my Giants because, I follow my team very closely. I have for a very long time. But I will arrogantly say that we lose in the most unique ways known to sports. And it's just frustrating. And I can't explain it. I look at this team and the talent that's on it, and you can't really understand why and how we do the things that we do. Cincinnati's defense was terrible every game this year, and they come into MetLife and managed to hold us to 7 points at home at night. And Daniel Jones plays well for 4 straight weeks and then decides to not play well. And kickers get hurt in warm-ups, and there's the weirdest things occur. And I mean, I say arrogantly because I'm pretty sure Detroit has lost for many years. We've been friends for many years, and the Lions have been losing for many years, and the Jets have been losing for many years. So I say that because I know you guys have your own stories, so you can relate. But the Giants deserve all of the angst they get. They're bad because they're bad. But what's really weird is that they could turn around and win this week and be right back in the thick of it. Because like Anthony said, everybody's still mathematically viable, even though it's getting late early. But at 2-4, 1 win would I know that was pretty cliche, but I like how it sounds. It's getting late.
Nah, man, that's a Yogiism, man. We love Yogi.
It's getting late early. But yeah, it's just, I mean, they could come out this week and somehow do what they're not supposed to. Like they weren't supposed to go to Seattle and win, and they did. They were supposed to win against the Bengals at home, and they didn't. So this week against Philly in the Barkley Revenge game, they should get run over by the Eagles, and they'll probably score 40 points. I don't know, but I'm frustrated by it, and I don't want to watch on Sunday, but I do every time. So they are where they need to be, and that is all I got.
Well, definitely. I hear you, and obviously, like I said, we've been friends for a long time. One of the things about the Giants, they still struggle to score consistently. Even in the games that they win, they score in spurts, and then they go through stretches where they just can't muster up points. And right now they're 29th in the NFL in points, 16 a game. Last season they were 30th at 15 and a half. So, the talent, obviously they keep adding talent every year. The offensive line um, was addressed to some degree, but now they lost Andrew Thomas for the season. So that's definitely going to be a huge loss for them. But yeah, like you're right. It's when I would say this, and you've already said it a little bit too. When you're not a good team, everything seems to like happen to hurt you. Like it feels like everything happens to hurt you. And when you're a good team and the bad things happen, you still have some glimmer of hope and expectation because you're a good team. You've seen your team be good for long stretches of time. So you don't worry as much, or things don't hit you as much when you're a good team and you get injuries or just see bad things happen because you feel like next week we can make it happen. Whereas when you're a bad team, it feels like things snowball. All right, let's get into these picks. Let's start looking at these games. First up, we got the Patriots at the Jaguars in London. Jaguars are favored by 5.5. I feel bad for the people of London. This feels like punishment for the NFL Europe failing or something like that. Why is this game even on TV? The Jags could be playing for Doug Peterson's career, his job, while Drake May looks like he's going to build on that. He had a pretty good debut last week against Houston, even though they lost by 3 touchdowns. Both teams are last in the division, and they're both in the bottom of the league on offense and defense. Like, this is literally the worst possible matchup that you could come up with. Maybe like Cleveland, Carolina. Like if you put that game in London, maybe that's worse. But the fact that these two teams are as bad as they are probably means it's going to be a tough call. So who you got? Patriots at Jaguars. Jags are 5.5 point favorites. And I'm gonna start with you.
Well, I actually picked up the Jaguars defense this week, and they're basically quite number 4 in the ranking as far as going against the Patriots this week. So, that's going to be great for fantasy players out there. But as far as for this game, I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I'm taking the over. That defense is going to murder. I shouldn't be saying that. Unalive Drake May. He's going to feel it. He's going to be buried in London. So I'm gonna go with Jaguars in the over. Put some props on this as well. How many picks Drake May we're gonna get? I'm gonna go with 3.
3 picks for Drake May. Well, I mean, Jacksonville has the luxury of not having to travel to London because they were there last week when they got their
everything's in their favor.
Bears, so they pretty much got it. One thing I will say for London was interesting because the either the NFL or Jacksonville, they approved like some money for them to revamp that stadium in Jacksonville. So now the Jaguars are not going to move to London, like everyone was assuming that they would over the last few years with them always playing games over there. But anyway, Levon, Jags, Patriots.
Wait. Before he goes, I just wanted to say that they should move over to London because look at the owner. Doesn't he look like a British villain? Like he belongs, like he's a villain for
Like
Sherlock
villain?
Holmes. Yeah, Bond villain, Sherlock Holmes villain, or something like that. They should move to London.
Nah, well, they're not. They're not. They in Duval for the foreseeable future. Levon, Jags, Patriots. What are you thinking?
I was just thinking that I didn't know that tidbit. I was gonna say with them spinning, I thought that was a mistake when I saw the next game in London was Jackson. I was like, nah, it can't be right. They just played there. But you're telling me they've been out there for an entire week?
They did that last season too. They played two
wow.
games back to back in London last season as well. They
Oh,
won the
really?
first game and lost the second game. So this is
Well,
the second year that they've done this with this London trip.
Well, I don't know what revamp is going on, but where there's smoke, there's fire. And teams, they're not doing that for issues and giggles. I mean, I'd really be worried if I was a Jacksonville fan. But anyway, this is the only thing about this that I kind of like is either one of these teams loses, they're not gonna be looking to go quarterback in the draft, and they'll probably be looking to trade out of that spot. Because the Patriots just went that way and the Jags did just pay Trevor Lawrence. I think Jacksonville's season just went down the toilet when they choked away that week 1 game. Because they've got talent on that team. And I think Doug Peterson's a pretty good coach, unless he forgot how to just do it all together. So without giving this game too much time, because it doesn't deserve it, I think the Jaguars should win because they are the home team, so to speak, because they've been out there for so long and they seem to be the more talented team, and they should win that game and just, go to 1-5. Ugh. Yikes.
2-5. Yeah, 2-5.
They got to win?
They have a win.
Yeah.
Everybody's won a game.
Everybody's got a game.
Yeah, everybody's at least won
2-5.
Yeah.
2-5 for the Jags, who have talent on that team. It's weird how things go, man. It's weird. It's funny.
Wait,
yeah.
Who Carolina beat?
Yeah.
Carolina beat the Raiders.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, remember when Andy Dalton got the start when they went to Vegas and they beat the Raiders that one game.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you guys. Jacksonville should take this, should be able to take care of business. I will say New England I did watch the replay, or at least the condensed replay of the New England and Houston games. I wanted to see how Drake May, looked, and he did look good. Didn't make, he threw for 3 touchdowns. He did make a few errors. I think he had 2 picks in the game. He looked like a rookie, but he looked like he could hold his own out there, and he didn't look like he was overmatched or over-challenged by that Houston defense. So they just, the Patriots just couldn't stop anybody, and that was to be expected too. So I'll take Jacksonville. The fact that they don't have to travel, they didn't have to travel this time around. They got to spend the whole week in London playing. They're not changing venues like they did last season. It's the same stadium that they just played with the Bears in, and they're comfortable there. They're comfortable playing in London. So I think that should bode well for them. So I'll take Jacksonville in the under as well. All right, Titans at the Bills. The Bills are favored by 8.5 in this game against the Titans. Looks like Amari Cooper will be playing in his first game as a Buffalo Bill in front of the Bills Mafia. And the Titans are still working through the struggles of Will Levis. And despite the recent drama, it doesn't look like they are going to be trading either DeAndre Hopkins or Calvin Ridley anytime soon. Obviously, they just paid Calvin Ridley a ton of money, so it looks like they just want to make them figure it all out and make him kiss and be nice and figure it all out. But anyway, the Bills are 8.5 point favorites here, hosting the Titans. Levon, who you got?
Unmute myself. I was fathering the children. Seems like an easy enough game. The Titans have been a big disappointment. The Bills are contender, so I don't think this is a no-brainer. But it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, the Bills could let up in this game. Could sleepwalk through it, and the Titans could catch them off guard. But who can predict that? So I think Josh will try to feed Amari Cooper and show off their new acquisition, and the Bills should roll in that one.
Yeah, Ant?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills, and I'm taking the under in this one. The thing is that the Bills gotta have to keep the throttle on the gas pedal. They basically got the AFC East so far locked. They need to lock this in, and they can't lose any games right now. At the same time, they got working Amari Cooper, and this is the perfect team to do it against. Mayonnaise Man is not going to do his thing. And I don't see them actually. I can't picture them actually beating the Bills, even if the Bills sleepwalk into this game. So I'm taking the Bills. I'm taking the under this one. This is going to be my first lock of the week.
Yeah, I'm locking in the Bills as well. I'm gonna take the over under is 41.5, by the way. The only thing that the Titans have proven that they can do thus far this season, actually over the last two seasons, really, since Will Levis has been a quarterback, is beat Miami. That's the only team that they've beaten Miami twice and two times they played them. Otherwise, they're pretty much trash against everybody else. Buffalo can score. The Titans haven't shown the ability to score consistently yet. And Will Levis gives the ball away. He's had picks in I think 4 straight games now. Pick sixes in like 3 of them. And this is the type of situation where obviously the Bills Mafia, the folks in Buffalo are going to be hyped up. They just got Amari Cooper there. They're 4-2, looking like the best team in at least in their division. And so yeah, there's no reason to believe that they can't go out and just put a whooping on the Titans and put them in a bad situation early, and then just keep the pressure on them scoring points. If they score, I think they can easily get to 30 points against this Titans team. And then that just leaves the Titans to score about 13 to 16 points. And the Bills defense is good, but I wouldn't say it's a world beater. So I think there'll be some points to be scored here. So I'll take Bills and the over, and I'm going to lock this in as well. All right, Texans at the Packers. Packers are 2.5-point favorites hosting the Texans. This is the big, young quarterback, duel, CJ Stroud versus Jordan Love. Both teams have winning records coming into this game. And the Texans are looking to, continue. They're looking to bounce back from this is their second game against the NFC North opponent. This is their third game against the NFC North opponent. They lost to Minnesota. They beat Chicago at home, and now they're coming in and facing the Packers. So I think, and I'm gonna let you go first on this one. Texans, Packers 2.5-point favorites, and the over under is 47.5. What are you thinking?
I want to take. It's a very hard game to predict because the thing is that both the Texans and Green Bay is basically trying to settle in. Green Bay is mostly settling, getting Love back. Texas is mostly settling in their wide receivers or whatever. So I'm gonna have to go with Green Bay. Green Bay's a home team, right?
Yeah, Green Bay's at home.
Okay, so I'm gonna take Green Bay on this one, and I'm actually gonna go with the over. I think they're gonna go over that over and under on this one. I'm not gonna lock this in, but this is gonna be definitely a good game to watch.
All right, Levon, what about you?
This is definitely seems like it'll be a good game to watch. Two of the most, I guess, enviable franchises from a fan standpoint. Talk about two young teams with young stars on. Well, I don't know who Green Bay has on the defensive side that you could say. I know you got the Anderson kid, you got Stingley. Houston deserves this after so many years of suffering. It's good to see, it's their turn, that they're good. But yeah, two of the younger teams, the more enviable franchises who built from the draft, and their windows are just starting to open up and should be open for a while. It's hard to bet against Houston. The only thing that they don't really have in their favor is a lack of experience, but they've got bona fide contributors on both sides of the ball, like game-changing bona fide contributors that affect winning on both sides of the ball. Like I said, for Green Bay, I struggle. Other than Alexander, Preston Smith still on the team. I mean, defensively, Green Bay doesn't scare you as much. Both well coached, even though I'm more impressed with, even though I can't think of his name right now. What is that guy's name? Green Bay's coach. What's his name?
D'Amico Ryans.
No, Green Bay.
LaFleur. Matt LaFleur.
LaFleur impresses me. He finds a way to keep Green Bay relevant, even when they're missing key pieces constantly and they should be losing or out of it. He just brings them back in. I like Ryans too, but LaFleur has proved more in his time. He's been a coach longer. This is a great game. It's a great game. It's hard to pick it. That's why I'm bantering on so much. Man, that's a tough one. I don't know. Give me My mind says Houston because, like I said, both sides. But give me Green Bay. Give me Green Bay for the coaching aspect, for the fact that they're the home team. And yeah, I like Green Bay to win that one, but it's tight. It could go either way. It's one of those go either way. No one can really say they know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think we're in agreement here. I like Houston a lot. I think Houston's a really good squad. Houston did something interesting this week. They traded away Cam Akers, who no world beater at the running back position, but um, Joe Mixon has been bothered with an ankle injury. He's been limited in practice. He hasn't looked great these last couple of weeks. The team has pretty much been relying on CJ Stroud and the offense and the passing offense. They also obviously lost Nico Collins a couple of weeks ago, put him on IR. So, they're a little banged up on that side of the ball. Meanwhile, Green Bay is getting healthier. Jordan Love I think it's his third game back since his knee injury in week 1. So they just seem to be clicking at the right time, playing well together, and again, being at home and only giving up 2.5 points. I feel like this is a pretty good lean towards the Packers. I think they can win this game by at least a score. All right, let's move on. Dolphins at the Colts. The Colts are giving 3 points here. Looks like Anthony Richardson will be starting for the Colts after them playing starting Joe Flacco for the last 2 weeks. The Colts will be hosting Miami. Tua is still out. And we'll see if Miami gets involved in the trade market for a quarterback, because they basically haven't been able to score, haven't had any real offensive push. Excuse me, when they have not been able to, when they haven't had Tua on the field. They're just a different team. They're just a really, really bad team without Tua. The offense just is not explosive at all from that perspective. But the Colts are, again, like I said, the Colts are only giving 3 points here. So Vegas is probably leaning on these two teams being pretty even. And they're just giving Colts the home 3. Ant, let's start with you. Colts hosting the Dolphins, giving 3 points. Over under is 43.5. What are you thinking?
Who's the Colts starter? Quarterback?
Anthony Richardson's going to be starting this week.
Okay.
For Flacco.
Yeah, okay. That's the reason why they're doing that. I'm going to still take the Colts on this one. I don't trust the Dolphins to do anything as of right now. It seems like their whole offense is built around on Tua, so they don't have a plan B on that until they actually prove that they actually have a plan B. I'm going to stick with the Colts on this one. I'm going to take the Colts, and I'm going to go with the points on this one.
All right, Levon, what about you?
Muted. Yeah, if Flacco was starting, it would be easy Colts. I think if he was starting, I guess the line would be larger. Richardson is a classic example of quarterbacks needing to stay in school a little longer, cook a little bit more. He's super raw. I mean, he's got all the physical tools, but he's as raw as it gets. And he's going to make many more mistakes, and hopefully not too many, because he does have a great, physical tools, and he just needs a little bit more experience. But I think this is a game Miami can win for that simple fact. Richardson coming back, he's susceptible to mistakes and inexperienced. And McDaniels is another fine coach, and they're trying to survive until Tua does come back. Because if Tua was in this game, this would be a no-brainer that the Dolphins would probably roll. But I think they pull this one out and try to survive like every other team that's trying to do, and not give up on this season too early. So yeah, I take the Dolphins on this one.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much a pick in this situation. You can go either way. I think that's why, obviously, these 3 points. And I agree with you, Levon. Even I said last week when we were picking the games last week, I can't remember who Indy was playing. I don't remember who they played last week. Last week they played Tennessee last week. And I remember saying on that, while we were recording that show, that one, if Joe Flacco is playing, I'm picking the Colts. If he's not playing, I'm picking the other team. Because, and then the second thing was saying that Anthony Richardson, in complete agreement, Anthony Richardson is the perfect example of what Tom Brady was talking about at the beginning of the season when he was talking about quarterbacks being drafted high and needing more opportunities to learn and grow within a system rather than being thrown out there in the fire. I think the thing about Anthony Richardson that I'm most concerned about is like, is he going to be able to play through a whole game? Like, is he going to be able to sustain and play through an entire game and not get hurt? We haven't yet seen him do that, for more than 3 games in his entire NFL career. And if he keeps putting himself in harm's way, if he keeps taking hits, he's going to be out again. And then Flacco will come back and potentially move this offense. We see what this offense is capable of doing with a quarterback that can drop back, that can deliver the football quickly, on time, on target, and make plays. And what we haven't seen yet is what Anthony Richardson can do with this team. I'm going to pick the Colts to win this game. I don't like this pick at all. I would not bet this pick at all. I'll pick the Colts to win this game because they're at home and because I just haven't seen anything substantial from the Miami Dolphins offense, and their defense looks to be just demoralized because of that situation. But I definitely feel like this is the type of game that Anthony Richardson wins, but it's probably one of the few games that I'm picking them to win this game when he's a starter.
Terrible take. I'm taking the Dolphins. Jonathan Taylor's not playing.
And Ace has joined the fray. We'll see how long. We'll see for how long he's going to be here. But
lurking.
How long he's actually going to be able to stay. All right, so we're 2-2 there. Levon and Ace taking Miami, and me and Ant are taking Indy. All right, next up, we got the Bengals at the Browns. Cincinnati is favored here by 5.5. The Browns obviously just lost Amari Cooper in the trade, and they've lost a lot more so far this season. Deshaun Watson's not looking good, has not looked good pretty much since he left Houston. And the Bengals got a win last week on Sunday Night Football against the Giants and seem to be righting the ship at least somewhat, winning their last 2 games. No, I'm sorry, winning their last game and playing well in that game that they lost against the Ravens the week before. So Bengals Browns, Bengals 5.5-point favorites. Ace, I'm gonna start with you since I don't know how much time you actually have to make picks. I'm gonna start with you, Ace. Bengals at Browns. What are you thinking?
I'm locking in the Bengals. The Browns are a dumpster fire. They're going all in the wrong direction. Deshaun Watson isn't a good quarterback. They decided to get what they could for Amari Cooper, which was smart of them. He doesn't get much separation, but that could be a function of the offense and just Deshaun Watson being inaccurate. Also, even though neither team really has a good running game, so I'm just going to go with the team that has the most talent, which would be the Bengals. So I'm going to lock in the Bengals for a win by a touchdown on the road. Give me the Bengals and go with Joe Burrow and them boys.
All right. Levon, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Ace. The Browns, yeah, what else is there to say? They paid him guaranteed $300 million. That's going to hamper that franchise for a very, very, very long time. I don't know what's wrong with Deshaun Watson. You don't just forget how to play a game you've been playing your entire life. And he was good. I think, his personal situation has gotten to him, and, that's psychological. Because, he was one of the best quarterbacks in football, and then that happened, and now he is, Charlie Brown. So
Karma.
it's unfortunate, but yeah, the Bengals righted the ship against my Giants, even though they should have lost that game if they played a team that was halfway competent on offense. But they're going up against another team that's not halfway competent on offense, so they'll win again. And I will have this be my first lock of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with you guys on this. I just think Cincinnati's just a way better team at this point. And until we see anything, I'm not gonna lock it in because we have seen Cincinnati, at least on the defensive side of the ball, be bad enough for a team to be able to cover against them. The Browns are at home. So just you're potentially seeing, and the Browns actually surprisingly covered against Philadelphia last week in that game that they played against Philadelphia. And they made that game a lot closer than it probably should have been. And so I could definitely see Cleveland keeping it close and against the Bengals defense that's not really great. But I'll take Cincinnati to win this game. And won't lock this in. Cincinnati is the better team and should win this game outright, but we'll see what happens there. And
yeah, I'm gonna agree with everybody here, but I'm taking the Bengals. I'm taking the over in this one. The Bengals is I know I picked this up from somebody that I was watching the YouTube on. The Bengals are that type of team that will slowly come back. We've been seeing this before. They'll slowly come back, and all of a sudden they sneak right into the playoffs. I think this is going to happen. So on the side bet, I'll be putting some money on the Bengals to actually make it into the playoffs. I'll be doing that as well. I don't know what the line is on that part, but as far as for this game is concerned, I'm definitely going to take the Bengals. I'm going to take the over on this one. I'm going to make this I think this is my second or third lock of the week. I can't remember exactly. Second. All right, Joe. I'm going to make this. Okay, so I'm going to make this my second lock of the week. Because to everybody's question, what's wrong with Deshaun Watson? He's missing his pregame ritual, which is the happy endings.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness! I had to let you get. Yeah, of course you had to get that in.
Did I miss the Texans Packers game?
We did. We called the Texans Packers game already.
I'm locking in the Texans at +3. Or +2.5, I should say.
FanDuel has it currently at 2.5. So
I'm locking in the Texans at +2.5. The Packers are frauds. Aaron Jones is hurt, as is their running back.
Play for the Packers.
Shocking, says the Bears fan. That's shocking you would say that.
They're frauds and the defense is suspect. The Texans have a much better defense and pass rush.
The Packers running back is Josh Jacobs, not Aaron Jones. Anyway, moving on.
Wow.
Eagles.
You just came in with the Bears hate, but anyway.
The Eagles heading to MetLife to play the Giants. The spread right now is Eagles -3. The Eagles are 3-point favorites here. Eagles coming off of a win against the lowly Cleveland Browns, and the Giants, as Levon mentioned earlier, were unable to put up more than 7 points against the Cincinnati Bengals at home. Levon, I'm going to start with you here. The Giants hosting Saquon Barkley, who I must give credit to the New York media again, because they have taken to calling him Snakequan, which is awesome. I'm sorry, that is just an awesome name. I'm gonna rock with it. Awesome. Snakequan Barkley is absolutely awesome.
Crazy. That's terrible.
New York media wins again. But yeah, Giants, Eagles -3. Levon, what do you got?
That is pretty awesome. I had no idea. Saquon said he's not going to get booed. He's a little delusional. I love the guy, but he's very delusional. They're going to boo him because teams will always rule out over players at the end of the day. And there's no way during the game or before it will they ever cheer for anything he does in that jersey. But at the same time, me personally, I have watched Saquon this year, and I have been happy to see him have success, and I will always feel that way because he should have never gotten out of the building. But the game itself, much like Anthony, me and Anthony have one thing. We have many things in common, but the one thing we have in common when it comes to football is we are incapable of not being biased when it comes to our teams. We may try, but we are incapable of thinking objectively when it comes to the New York teams we love so much. And with that being said, I am going to pick the Giants to win this game, not because I want them to, which I do, not because I even believe they will, but because they have done the exact opposite of what logic dictates the entire season. And they should lose this game with Andrew Thomas hurt, with Daniel Jones looking like, I can't even think of anything, but Daniel Jones being Daniel Jones, and just the overall state of the team at this current point, they should lose to the Eagles in this game. And that is why not only am I picking the Giants to win, but I am going to lock it in as my second lock of the week.
Well, I will say one thing for you, for Levon. It looks like Malik Neighbors will be back this week, coming back off of the concussion. It was weird that he's been out. He was out for so long dealing with that concussion situation. But it looks like he will be back this week. So that should bode well for the Giants offense. Ant, what about you?
I don't have that delusions that Levon has, but I'm actually gonna go agree with him. I'm picking the Giants on this one. The reason why is because this is a division game. We got to remember those things. Got to put respect on that, no matter what. This is a division game until they get beat, until the beatdown comes. But I doubt it's gonna happen. And also I've been hearing things here and there. Even though the Eagles got a good type of record, whatever, they're kind of shaky on that. Until they start improving and showing a little bit better, and they have little things, like the coaches, giving middle fingers to the fans and cursing them out and stuff like that. Those little things go away. I'm gonna have to pump the brakes on them. So I'm gonna take the Giants because the Giants are the underdogs in this, and I'm gonna take the under in this one. I'm not gonna lock it in though. I ain't that crazy.
Ace.
The best team the Giants have beaten are the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, I just want to point that out. The best team they've beaten is the Seahawks on the road, and somehow they snuck up and beat them 29-20. They lost last week to Cincinnati, didn't cover the spread. They're going to lose this week to Philadelphia, who's the better team, not just because of the defensive line, but because of their secondary. Malik Neighbors is hurt. They got one wide receiver. Their quarterback is not very accurate. They're going to pressure him, and it's going to be a problem. I'm going to lock in the Eagles -3. They should win this by a touchdown.
He's not wrong. But to my point, it defies logic.
Your pick defies logic.
I think the smart money here trends towards Philly, even though I don't think that Philly's not playing the type of ball that we expected them to play. But at the very least, they had their bye last week. They came back healthy. Devontae Smith is back. AJ Brown is back. Saquon is still playing at a high level, and he's relatively healthy as well. And even though I may have my reservations about Jalen Hurts in late game situations, I don't think that the Giants haven't shown the ability with their offense to put pressure on teams late in games yet, consistently. So because of that, I think Philly should be able to win this game pretty easily. But I'm rolling with you, and on the under here. I think I do like the Giants defense. I said that from the very first game of the preseason when the Lions went and played them. I do think that defense, with the talent that they have, especially in that front seven, is definitely a group that you can build around, provided that you give them the offense that can support and score points when they get stopped. So I do think that'll work a little bit in their favor. So I am taking the under, but I'm going to take Philly, and I'm locking this in as well. I think that number is pretty low for Philly to be carrying just a 3-point favorite here. All right, next game, Seahawks at the Falcons. The Falcons, Levon's top 10 team in the rankings, says that they should be in the top 10. So this is a game that they should pretty much win then. If they're playing against the Seahawks team that has lost 3 straight. First they won 3 straight, now they've lost 3 straight. They have not looked good in losing those 3 games. Their defense has not looked great in losing those 3 games, and looks like they're reeling a little bit on both sides of the football. So Seahawks and Falcons. The Falcons are 3-point favorites at home. Over on this game is 50.5. Levon, I'm gonna start with you here.
Seahawks look like frauds. They look like the biggest frauds in the league ever since they lost to Detroit. They've been losing ever since. And Atlanta is underrated. I really believe they should be in the top 10. I still don't know why they're not. That offense has playmakers at every level. Their quarterback is older, but he's dependable and he's smart. Defensively, they do just enough. And they're playing at home. And when the Falcons are good, the Dome is a very hard place to come and get a win. So I think Atlanta wins this game outright. I think they win this game outright. And then get the respect they deserve, hopefully.
All right, I'll go second here. I agree with you pretty much on all your points there about the Falcons. I am intrigued by the fact that like they just now we're week 7. It seemed like every week they were getting a little bit more comfortable offensively with some of the things that they were trying to do. They did not look good against Pittsburgh in week 1, and then week 2 they played up. Believe it was Philly they played, and then they looked great. And then they played KC, who has a really good defense, and they were up and down, but they seem to just be kind of hitting their stride here week 7. Seattle's offering nothing defensively in terms of getting stops and putting the ball back in their offense's hands. And although I really, really do like their running back, the Seattle Seahawks running back situation, I think he's probably one of my favorite running backs outside of my Lions running backs. He's probably one of my favorite running backs to watch in the league. But I am not impressed with what I'm seeing this so far this year from Geno, from DK, and from Tyler Lockett, who's taken a huge step back in terms of his productivity. He's just an older receiver at this point, and they're relying a lot on DK, and he's just not. He's not that guy. He's not that stud, number one, receiver that I think most people were hoping he would be. So I'm going to take the Falcons as well here. They spread it around, get the ball to all of their weapons, and I think the Falcons, win pretty handily. I think this 3-point spread is a little bit disrespectful to a team in Atlanta that's actually looked really good over the last few weeks. So I'll take Atlanta and the under. Ant, over to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the same. I'm gonna take Atlanta and the under. The core teams and the NFL has been definitely disrespected them from looking at that top 10 top list, whatever rankings, whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Falcons. I'm gonna take the under this one. I'm gonna make this my third lock of the week, I believe. Third lock of the week. Y'all guys have already broke up the points. Seattle's not been playing up to snuff. Seattle definitely is going to be one of the teams maybe next year that if they keep this group together, to add in, they should be adding in a real number one receiver to go with DK and give him some help on that one. But it all comes down to how players are playing and maybe even the coaching. Geno might be missing Pete Carroll. Maybe that's basically the whole thing right there. But let me stop taking up time here. Once again, I'm taking the Falcons. I'm taking the under third lock of the week.
All right, Ace.
Kirk Cousins is almost leading the league in passing yards, I believe, 1,598. What's crazy is that the Falcons have a plus 14-point differential through 6 games. They've won 4 games, meaning they win very close games. They're only favored by 3 points. This game's going to end up being a push. Somehow, some way, they're going to end up winning by 3. So because of that, I'm taking the Seahawks in possible upset. Bijan is banged up. Him and Tyler Algier are splitting time. I think Drake London is hurt. I'm sorry. I just completely wrong. Drake London is healthy. I take that back. There's not one player on the Falcons that has 2 sacks on the season. A couple of people got 1.5. They don't really get much pressure, so Geno should be all right, even behind the bulky line. So I'm taking the Seahawks plus 3.
I do think that there's the over here might hit Ace, because you're talking about the offenses on both sides, the defenses on both sides not being able to generate consistent pressure. The Seahawks have been without both of their pass rushers maybe for the last couple of weeks.
Correct.
Maye was out for a while, and they didn't have Byron Murphy. Tariq Woolen's been out. Their defense has been banged up for a while for these last few weeks, and it probably contributes to the fact that they haven't been able to stop anybody. So yeah, I do like the over here, even though I'm taking Atlanta there.
Yeah.
All right.
27-24 could easily happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely could see that. All right. Lions at Vikings. Vikings are favored by 1.5 here. The Vikings are coming off of their bye. Lions obviously coming off of a big win in Dallas, big embarrassing victory there in Dallas in Jerry's World. Lions are playing their first game without Aiden Hutchinson since they drafted Aiden Hutchinson in 2022. Obviously, he got hurt pretty badly in that game and will be out the rest of the season. So it's an interesting one. I don't know that. I think, the spread, if I remember correctly, this spread started out actually Lions -2 before the Hutchinson situation was figured out. And it's pretty much hovered around Vikings -1, 1.5, 2 ever since then. I'm gonna pick last on this. I want to hear what you guys think about this. Ace, I'm gonna start with you. The over under here is 50.5. This is the second 50-point over under of the week. 2 of 3. There's one more game that looks like it's gonna get above 50.5 points, which is actually kind of shocking. The game that's being touted here. But anyway, Lions at Vikings -1.5. What are you thinking?
Minnesota relies on the blitz too much. And because of that, and the fact that the Lions have one of the best offensive lines and a running back that can pick up the blitz well, and healthy wide receivers and a burner like Jameson Williams, I'm leaning toward the Lions, the fact that they're getting points. Even if the Lions have no pass rush without Hutchinson, it won't really matter because, as I said before, I mixed up the running backs, but Minnesota's running back is banged up, and the guy behind him is not good, considering the fact that they just traded for Cam Akers. So, with all that being said, I'm leaning towards the Lions. I'm not locking them in, but I expect the Lions to win this one and take first place in the division. I don't believe in Sam Darnold, and the fact that they're 5-0 is the flukiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Honestly.
Levon, this is your number one team in the NFL. What are you thinking? Lions, Vikings.
I think the Vikings have been proving everybody wrong for 5 straight weeks. Will they continue to do it? This is something nobody can call because nobody did. They are what is it that Neo was in the Matrix that Smith kept calling him? The anomaly.
The anomaly.
They are the anomaly because why are they undefeated with Sam Darnold at quarterback? Who's on that defense and why are they so good? But they keep winning every week against teams we keep saying are going to beat them and bring them back to the pack. And I'm no different. I think Detroit is better on paper, has been, should be, and they should beat them this week. But will they do it? I don't think so. So I'm going to pick the Vikings. I don't think they're ready to come back to the pack. I think Detroit is going to miss Aiden Hutchinson a great deal. Darnold just stayed hot. Pass rush is going to be important. And Brian Flores is not getting enough credit for what he's doing with that defense, which does not have anybody of note on it that you can think of other than this Van Ginkel guy who keeps picking off teams and running into the end zone. And they just find ways to win. He's scheming it up. And I think they've had plenty of time to prepare. And they're not going to give anybody the chance to doubt them, at least not yet. So give me the Vikings.
All right, Ant.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I thought I was going to be the only one on the island on this one, but Levon jumped on me or ahead of me on this one, of course. But I'm picking the Vikings as well. The reason why I'm picking the Vikings is because of Hutchinson's not playing there. Unless the Lions can find some way around it to expose the weaknesses, which is Sam Darnold on this, I don't think it's going to happen. And it's that's the reason why Minnesota's basically been winning, in my opinion, is that there's nobody to scare the bejeevers out of them. When Sam Darnold goes back to his seeing ghosts days. The Lions is not going to. I hope the Lions prove me wrong because I actually like the Lions in this division. Sorry, Ace, I hate your Bears, but but unfortunately, I can see the Lions splitting this year with the Vikings, and this is going to be the game that they lose. And after this game, what's the name? The Lions GM is going to get on the phone and call the Raiders, and Max Crosby is going to be a Lion.
As much as I'd love to see that, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Raiders actually came out. The Raiders actually came out this week and pretty much said like we're not trading Max Crosby.
Max Crosby actually came out today and said that I'm not here to be here for rebuilding. So let's see what happens there. Players usually win on that part.
And I mean, he did say, the one thing I will say about Max Crosby, he's very honest, speaks his mind, doesn't sugarcoat it for anybody. And he did say, I believe it was last season, he did say if he did not play for the Raiders, he would want to play for the Lions, obviously, because he's from there. He's from Detroit. So, but that's neither here nor there. Can't make a trade. It probably won't.
I know you want to be. I know you want to be quiet about it because you were crossing your fingers, hope and magically hope fairy dust comes out of nowhere. This happens, but
I think at the very least right now, I think it's smart for the Lions to try to look within, see what they can do from within. Obviously they've gotten all the guys on their team. They brought these guys in for a reason and see what they can do to generate pass rush. I do think it's going to be very, very interesting on what the Lions defense decides to do to try to confuse and force Sam Darnold to rush a little bit more. I watching that game against the Jets defense, Quinnen Williams was able to get a push up the middle, and that forced Sam Darnold to rush his passes a little bit, and he wasn't able to feed his receivers as well. And he didn't have a great game. I think the Lions are going to try to do a lot of that as well, a lot of that again. I don't like the matchup of Justin Jefferson against any of my corners. Not because I don't think that the corners can run with him. I don't, but that's not the reason why. I think main reason is all of my corners thus far, they play a lot of man-to-man, and Justin Jefferson is an amazing route runner, and he just destroys man-to-man defense. So if we can't get pressure on the quarterback, then him and Justin Jefferson will eat, and they'll eat pretty often. But I saw Brian Flores was the defensive coordinator of this team last year. And Levon, to your point, they don't have any dogs on this team on that defense that I'm afraid of. And the Lions and Ben Johnson were able to dissect and stop that defense from getting home against Jared Goff. And if you give Jared Goff a clean pocket, he can pick you apart. He's done it the last few weeks. I think he's able to do that again here. So I'm going to take Detroit, and I will take the over. I think this game is going to prove, kind of to Ant's point, that Detroit's going to need to go out into the market and find some pass rushing help. But I think at the very least, you're giving the Lions points, even on the road. That hasn't seemed to bother them yet. So give me the Lions, give me the 1.5, and I'm not going to lock it in, but I like this pick here for me. I'm also the Lions are 4-1. I'm also 5-0 in picking my Lions so far this season. I picked that Tampa Bay loss as well. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Raiders at the Rams. The Rams are actually 6.5-point favorites here. Cooper Kupp looks like Cooper Kupp is coming back, and that might be the reason why this is being pushed. This line is being pushed so heavily. The Raiders obviously lost Devontae Adams. And I'm gonna start with you here. Raiders and the Rams. Is this a game that you will be paying attention to in any way, shape, or form?
No, I won't be paying attention to this game at all. But if I'm a betting man, I'm just gonna put my money on the Rams and just take the over on this one. This is gonna be a beatdown. But you never know. Never know. Yeah, Antonio Pierce might actually have his team that he gets to coach now. See what he can do with his quarterback and his receivers or whatever that he has. I feel bad for Antonio Pierce a little bit because it feels like he's like that coach that was with the Texans before they revamped the whole team. I forgot that dude's name is, but he feels like he's a placeholder coach right now.
You talking about Lovie Smith?
No, the guy after Lovie Smith.
No, Coley or something like that.
David Cullen. He was before Lovie Smith.
David Cullen.
He was before.
Wait,
okay.
No, I thought he was afterwards.
No, because they had Lovie Smith and then they hired D'Amico Ryans because Lovie was the one that bumped him out of the first overall pick that the Bears traded.
Yep.
Okay. But unfortunately, I feel that this is the same thing that's happening to Antonio Pierce, is that he's being morphed into the placeholder coach until, they wind up losing out, getting a quarterback, maybe, being tied for a first on that one. But anyway, back to the game. Taking the Rams, yeah. Doesn't matter who's beating them, and taking it over.
Well, it's interesting you say that about the Antonio Pierce lame duck situation, because obviously one of the stories coming out of the NFL this week was Tom Brady being announced as the minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. He has 10% ownership stake in the team. He was announced. He was welcomed by the Raiders and their ownership group this week. And one of the very, very, very first stories that I read coming out of that announcement was that Tom Brady is lobbying for Bill Belichick to join the team and become the head coach there over in Vegas. I don't
Wow.
know how much juice that has, but the fact that it's already out there probably tells you that there's some changes that are definitely on the horizon, and having Tom Brady being the part owner there means that some things are going to be happening relatively soon. All right, Ace, over to you. Raiders at Rams. Rams -6.5. What do you say?
The Rams are one of 5 teams in the NFL that have won one game. The only thing that gives me any faith in picking the Rams over the Raiders is the fact that the Raiders have a worse point differential by 9 more points. Only one team in the AFC has given up more points than them, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they've both played the same amount of games. So, being as the Rams are at home, I'm going to take the Rams. If they win this game, they should win by a touchdown. But I would not bet this game if my life depended on it. Both of these teams are terrible, but at least the Rams have a better running back and quarterback and wide receiver. So that's got to count for something.
Levon, what about you?
Yeah, that's Ace made me laugh. He said, I wouldn't bet this game. My life depended on it.
Would you, if you could only watch this game, would you watch it?
No.
Exactly.
There is no sexing up this game. It is as boring and as uninteresting as it gets. Home team, more talent, Rams. Feel bad for Pierce, especially being that he came into the season with such momentum. It's unfortunate that things kind of leveled out, it seems, because the Raiders are just not very good. But yeah, the Rams all the way. If everything Ace said, home team, and they just have more talent.
Yeah, I'm taking the Rams. I'm actually locking this in as my third lock of the week. The Rams, to me, Ace, you mentioned it. They're one of the 5 teams that have one loss. They're probably the most unlucky team in the NFL so far. They've just had everybody that could potentially get injured for this team has gotten injured for this team and been out for multiple weeks. So it looks like they're getting cut back. Stafford is still relatively healthy. Kyron Williams is still a pretty good, he's a pretty good running back. They're getting healthy at the right times. So I think this is a pretty easy call for the Rams to win this game and cover the spread. And yeah, they definitely, appear to be, trending in the right direction, at least from a health perspective. And you expect at the very least, Sean McVay should be able to get to right the ship and get them to score enough points against this Vegas defense that looks like is having Max Crosby has been also questionable with an ankle injury. He hasn't been practicing this week, so we'll see if he actually winds up playing. I don't think that'll stop him from playing, but that may impact his effectiveness.
In fairness to the Rams, they did beat the Niners for their only win. So
they did. Wasn't that when the Niners were hurt?
Debo was hurt, but everybody else played.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The next game that I said was surprisingly and has a surprising over-under of 51.5 points. The Carolina Panthers are going to the Washington Commanders. Now, this is honestly, the over-under being 51.5 is ridiculous, and it probably means that the majority of the Vegas thinks the majority of the points are going to be scored on Washington's side here, I guess, because Carolina hasn't really been a juggernaut offensively. But anyway, let's start with the picks here. The Commanders are 8.5-point favorites at home, playing Panthers coming off of the Commanders coming off of their loss against Baltimore last week. And looking to bounce back from that situation. This is pretty good bounce back situation for them. I like Washington. I'm going to take Washington. I'm going to lock them in. Lock them in as my 4th lock of the week. I've just not seen anything from Carolina to make me believe that they can both win the game, but also cover the number. And wondering when the head coach over there decides to go back to Mr. Bryce Young, if at all, this season. So I'm going to take Washington, and I will take the under. I think this over-under is ridiculous. Ace, what about yourself?
Taking Carolina. Teams being able to cover more than a 7-point spread has been low. And for whatever reason, let's say they just win this by exactly a touchdown. then Carolina covers. They're terrible, but Chuba Hubbard has been able to run the ball pretty well, and Canales wants to do a run-first offense, so maybe they find something there. Xavier Leggett scored a touchdown, so they're not without talent. They're just, not as talented as the team they're playing. So we will see. It's not. I doubt they win, but maybe they can cover. So I'm taking Carolina.
All right, Ace going against the people and the money and Vegas, because the public is 82% on Washington at this point. Ant, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not that crazy. I'm just gonna take the Commanders and just take the under and whatever. I don't think they're gonna get 51 points, but it's definitely gonna be a tongue lashing. So I might as well just take that and move on. Don't even bother even watching this game. I don't even know we're even talking about it. Anyway, Commanders and the under, a nice little preseason game for the Commanders.
Well, I'm gonna watch because I like Jaden Daniels. I've enjoyed watching him play football. I've enjoyed watching him play football for the last 3 years.
Oh yeah, I should be
definitely
watching
gonna
for
enjoy it.
fantasy. Yeah, my fantasy. He's starting, I think, this week. Or maybe I might move him.
Levon, what about you? I know you hate to call these types of games because you hate to pick other NFC East teams to win, but this kind of feels like a gimme. You gotta can't pick Carolina, can you?
Well, and Ace stole my thunder. I'm good for an upset pick a week because in the NFL, not everybody who's supposed to win does. And not every game is supposed to be close. There's always that one shock. And how did this happen? And Washington there are two overachieving teams in the league right now, and Washington is both of them. They are not as good as their record says. The first few games they played, it was a college offense. It was everything behind the line of scrimmage and, run after the catch. And then they let him loose a little bit. He had a couple of deep passes. It's looked fine. But this team has got to come back to the pack. Their offensive line is not very good. It's just amazing that it hasn't fallen apart yet. But I think it will. And I think it starts this week because I think Carolina goes down to Washington and stuns them. I'm not sure how they do it because both teams, well, Carolina is bad. They're just all out bad. But they've been more competitive with Dalton at quarterback than Bryce. And I just think this is my upset pick of the week. This is my upset pick of the week. So I like Carolina to stun and beat Washington in a close game. I don't know if it's going to be that many points, but it's going to be a close game.
I just want to note, LeVon, but since Carolina beat Las Vegas in about 3 weeks ago, they've lost by 10 to Cincinnati, by 26 at Chicago, and by 18 against Atlanta. So those have not been close games, but
they've been
see.
competitive.
We'll see. Competitive 18, competitive 26-point loss. We'll see.
Yeah, there's been when I say competitive, they've looked competent. Now, when Bryce Young was in there, they looked like they shouldn't be in the NFL with what they were doing. But the talent-wise, they're terrible, so they should get beat. But when you look like you should at least be up there, I mean, you can't sleep on them now. If they'll catch you sleeping, you could lose. And I think that they're going to catch Washington, who is not very good. Just think about who's on that football team. Really think about who's on that football team and the fact that they've played as well as they have. Just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I mean, they're definitely skating by on the the wow factor of Jaden Daniels in that offense. That defense has not looked great. And if Carolina was a better offensive team, I would probably lean towards them because I don't like playing large spreads like this, but Carolina just hasn't shown the ability to score any points. But anyway, Fox's game of the week, or America's game of the week, of course, since the Cowboys aren't playing this week, Fox's game of the week is the Chiefs at the 49ers. The 49ers are 1.5-point favorites in this game. Over-under is 47.5. This is the first time in, I think I read 12 games that the Chiefs are actually the underdog. So this is a first of, this doesn't happen very often where a Patrick Mahomes led team actually is getting points. They typically are giving points, in every game, in every situation that they've been in. And they're on the road against the 49ers team that is getting a little healthier, despite the fact that they still don't have Christian McCaffrey and doesn't look like they will have him at any point in time this season. He may be, I did read something recently about them potentially putting him on injured reserve, like the real injured reserve, not like the 4 games injured reserve, but like the one where you don't come back. They're flirting with that situation. But around that, they seem to be a little healthier. Debo's back. What's his name? Ayuk has been out there and he's starting to play a little bit better. So we'll see what happens here. But Chiefs at 49ers. Ant, we'll start with you. 49ers and Chiefs. 49ers 1.5-point favorites. What are you thinking?
It's real funny this week. I don't know if I saw it, whatever about Nick Wright, shaking his baby rattle and stuff like that, getting all upset about his little Kansas City Chiefs was put as favorites. But anyway, I'm gonna take the refs. I'm gonna take the under on this one. I'm gonna make this my 4th lock of the week.
The refs and under.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the refs and the under. They definitely gonna make it. They're gonna really lock it in. You gotta lock it in. Those refs, they really hard to beat. They had a sore ref last week. We didn't know if he was gonna make it, but next man up. Bank it in. 4th lock of the week.
Levon, 49ers hosted the Chiefs. Who you got?
I'm interested to know in how many of these Super Bowl rematch games the following season does the team that lost actually come up and win. I don't really remember. My memory's not the best, but I'd like to know what that stat is. But with that being said, yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs. Not, based on what Anthony said, though, it's going to play a factor. I just think Frisco's not very good without McCaffrey to stir the drink for them. And yeah, it's a Super Bowl rematch. And I think, usually the team that won the Super Bowl turns right back around and just wins that game every time, every year. But I could be wrong. But yeah, I'll take the Chiefs in this
one. All right, Ace.
Give me the Niners. The Chiefs just don't. They defensive led just don't think they're going to be able to stop the Niners from everything that they want to do. As badly injured as the running game is, they seem to be able to find someone else to step in there and get something done. I'm surprised they haven't made a move to get another running back, but maybe that will change. I do like the Chiefs' new running back, Kareem Hunt. He's playing pretty well, and they're also getting Clyde Helaire-Edwards back, so he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. But the 49ers have the best linebackers in the league as a group, so I'm counting on them. And the fact that I believe they're playing at home, right? They're in San Francisco?
Yes, it's in San
So
Francisco.
I'm leaning on them. And, Debo and Ayuk are there, and so is Kittle. So give me the Niners.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, Ace. I'm going to take the Niners as well. I think the one that still haven't seen Patrick Mahomes have a Patrick Mahomes type of performance yet. And this defense in San Francisco, although it's not the same type of defense from a few years ago where they were, top 5, 10 in the league, they're still a pretty solid defense. They're at home and probably looking for some revenge in this Super Bowl rematch. So I definitely feel like the 49ers can get this, and the spread is low enough. I think this is a field goal game. Probably ends late, And I know I'm saying that despite the fact that, to Anthony's point, whenever you see a field goal game, whenever games get close, this is when the refs start to become involved. And if you're looking at the refs, you're looking at KC, just getting the benefit of the doubt on so many calls over the course of the last 4 years. But anyway, yep, gonna roll with the 49ers here. I think they can get the win, and make things very, very interesting for the Chiefs. They're not gonna go 17-0. So this is one of those games I think they lose. Jets at Steelers. And I'm starting with you here. Your Jets coming off of 2 weeks of changes and adjustments. They're all in on the Devontae Adams situation. What are you thinking? The Jets are 1.5-point favorites against Pittsburgh. And it seems like Pittsburgh's still not entirely sure. Mike Tomlin's still not entirely sure who his starting quarterback is going to be this week. And whether or not, because we know that Russell Wilson is back, he's healthy, and he's preparing to play Sunday night against the Jets. So we'll see if that winds up happening. But is there any difference between whether you feel like the Jets have a chance to win regardless of the quarterback in Pittsburgh, or do you think it's better if one or the other is starting?
I don't think it's better one or the other is starting at all. Yeah, I think they might be leaning towards more of Russell Wilson since he's supposedly the starter that came into the season. But the thing is that this is more of a gamesmanship, I believe, with Tomlin to throw newly minted interim coach Jeff Oberg off because they're still trying to put together that team as far as the coaching staff is concerned. They have to add in Devontae Adams to the mix as well. I'm just going to be biased. I'm going to just admit it. I'm not going to be pretending like, oh, maybe I might go the other way. No, I'm going to go. So everybody out there, don't listen to my pick, of course, on this one. I'm going to go lock it and be Mr. Crazy Person. I'm going to go with the Jets, and I'm going to take the under in this one. This is going to be my 5th lock of the week. But as far as for reality is concerned, you got to really look at this at the last minute on this because you don't really know what Tom is going to do. He's been in the game. He's definitely a Hall of Fame head coach for a reason, or quite future Hall of Fame coach, I should say, for a reason, because he's going to be throwing that back and forth between, could be Russell, it could be Coy Fields, or it could be actually both. You never know. Russell Wilson might start Olsen out of nowhere. Russell Wilson just decides to go to the wide receiver spot, and then Fields comes in and do a wildcat. You never know. But anyway, I'm gonna take the Jets just because I'm a Jets fan, and I'm gonna lock this in, and I'm gonna take that as the under, whatever. See exactly what happens.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1 quarterback. If you don't know who you're going to play, who you want to play
I actually
on
think
Thursday,
they know who they want to play,
and you have a game on Sunday, and you still don't know who you're starting on Thursday, that tells you a lot about the guys and the confidence of the people in your room.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Levon,
Yeah,
Levon, it's on you.
Careful there, Malik. Careful. First of all, he knows who he's going to start. He's not telling you. Mike Tomlin is too good of a head coach. He doesn't have to say who he's starting. Why would he do that? And, give that bit of an advantage up to his opponent. Save that for as long as you can. Mike Tomlin knows who he's playing. He knows who he's playing. If you really think he doesn't know who his quarterback is on Thursday, especially tomorrow, then that's crazy. We don't know, but Mike Tomlin knows. But as far as the game goes, Ant's not gonna like this. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. But the Jets,
I'm taking my Giants pick back. They're gonna get murdered and over.
It's nothing like that. See, I say that because I don't want you to think that this is, fandom or me just being a hater or being mean. But the Jets are legitimately dysfunctional again. They're verging on sideshow with this one. We bringing this guy out of retirement, hoping that after he destroys his leg, that he can be what he once was. You did this once already with a Green Bay quarterback. Guess what? It's not working again. And here we are doing the same thing, and we making excuses as to why the receivers we thought he would roll with, and that we already brought all of these players from Green Bay. Now he wants even more. When does it stop? I saw something on the internet. I know you all saw it. That Jordy Nelson was next. When does it
40
stop?
years old. He's not coming back.
So
yeah, I got a picture of Eddie Lacy coming back as well.
I missed the conversation about Robert Saleh and why he was cast aside in the middle of you admitting that mathematically you're still in it, and right before you play a game for first place against Buffalo, and they cast him aside, and Aaron trying to act like he had absolutely nothing to do with that, and everything comes in the frame. The whole video that captured him pushing the guy, and he's trying to say, that was because he's a hugger and blah blah blah. It's not good, man. It's not good. And trust me, if it was good, much like Malik's Lions, if it was good, I'd give due where it was due. But it's not good for the Jets. And you need to admit that. Jet fans need to just recognize it. And I say all that just to say I'm picking the Steelers because one thing the Steelers are is consistent, is organized. If he can win games with Justin Fields at quarterback, then I'd be worried if I were you. It's in Pittsburgh. Whoever the quarterback is, they're going to be ready to play. And if you guys come in there like you are now, it might get ugly. And if you lose this week, what are the headlines going to say? I have no idea. But that's all
Ace, over to you.
Yeah, it's more of the same for me. Give me the Steelers. If Russell can't get it done, they're going to bring in Justin Fields. It's not so much that I think the Jets are bad, and I don't think Devontae Adams will help. It's more the fact that I just have more faith in the Steelers as a team overall. The Jets, for whatever reason, have scored the same amount of points with Zach Wilson as quarterback through 6 weeks as they did with Aaron Rodgers, which doesn't make any sense to me. They haven't really changed. They've changed the play caller, but the offense coordinator is still there. So I don't know what he's doing. They have a real head coach from Pittsburgh sideline. This guy's never coached a game except last week, but they lost because of field goals. So I can't really put that on the head coach. So Legatron over there ain't even earning his money. So whatever it is, I'm just taking the Steelers because they're at home and it's Sunday night and they should win. And I think this game is they're favored by the Steelers are getting 2 points, which is even wilder to me.
1.5, yep.
So yeah, I mean, if Russell's actually healthy and he won the job in training camp, that means he's throwing better balls than Justin Fields, who's been playing pretty well. So maybe they'll hold him back and they're going to try to trade him to a team, see what happens. But we'll see. I'm taking Pittsburgh and I'm locking this in. 4th lock of the week, +2.
Well, Russ was the, to Ant's point earlier, Russ was the named the starter before the beginning of the season, and then he got hurt, and then obviously Fields played, and they're 3-2 or something like that so far at this point. So stands the reason that they would just go back, or they're 4-2. Stands the reason that they would go back to their starter, because that's who was supposed to be their starter, even though Fields has done a really good job. I'm picking the Jets because I don't want to see, to LeVar's point, I don't want to see what happens if they lose. I don't want to see what happens if they lose this game. What changes get made? Like the Jets remind me, I don't know if you guys remember, the movie Tropic Thunder. The scene when was it Woody Johnson reminds me of Tom Cruise, the scene when like if the Jets lose again, I feel like Woody Johnson's gonna call a conference call. He's just gonna have people keep getting beat up and kicked out of the offices because he doesn't know what else to do. Like he's just like, look, I'm literally at my wit's end. I'm just gonna call in a death squad and I'm taking everybody out. And he's gonna leave Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna tell Aaron Rodgers, either figure it out or you're next. And that's it. That's pretty much it. He's like,
remember how this is not a direct analogy. Remember how the Nets handed over the team to Kyrie and KD and how that went?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, this is KD and Kyrie, except it's football now.
I wonder if Woody Johnson. Here's the thing. I wonder if Woody Johnson calls up Jerry Jones and says, "Hey, is Mike McCarthy available? Because I think we just need to bring in everybody from the Jets, for the Packers over here, because he seemed to like McCarthy when he was there."
Who was the running back that the Jets had last year? Maybe the Cowboys should sign him up, the veteran that they brought in.
Sure, I can't
Oh,
remember.
you're talking about
Dalvin Cook. They did.
Yeah.
Oh God, Dalvin Cook.
Isn't he buried on it? He's on their team. I think he's buried.
Yeah, he's on their practice squad or
He
something
should
like
play.
that. They never.
Not the Jets
never
practice
even did
squad.
it.
No, he's
on
in the Cowboys.
He can figure it out. Let him play.
Yeah, he figured it out all right.
I just want to see the Jets win this game because I'm tired of like I just want them to not be the story for the week. Just I want them to just enjoy a victory, and maybe they'll feel like they've hit on something. They don't need to make any more moves, because if they do,
I just want them to shut people up.
It's
so
just
many more moves
it's
happening.
awkward. You build this Adams thing. It's built up like it's the cure-all because his face is everywhere. Rodgers is doing interviews. He's peekabooing in the back, and it's like if you
he
don't
just happened to be there.
Yeah, okay. If you don't win this game, and it's going to be really awkward on the field. Rodgers is going to be pointing fingers and flailing his arms around, and who's he going to blame then?
I do kind of find it. I do kind of
don't
find it
know.
funny that they were saying that when they announced a trade, like at least like 10 to 20 minutes later, all of a sudden Adams just showed up in the facility. It's like he just
Yeah, like
magically
the
went
whole
across
story behind
over.
that was crazy. The fact that they like sent the plane for him on Monday night
Mm-hmm.
while they got him on the
While
red
he was
eye.
playing.
They like before they even signed on the trade, they were like, no, it's happening. You're coming over here. Just pack your shit and come on through. We'll fly your family with you. That's why I said like Woody Johnson is clearly,
He took it over. You didn't even
he's
see
using
Joe
money
Douglas no
wisely.
more. Joe
Nah, Joe
Douglas
Douglas.
disappeared. He's
So
gone.
that's
He's
why I
been
said.
gone
That's
before.
why that's why I said. And if y'all lose this week, Mofo is gonna end up missing. Like dude's gonna end up on milk cartons really soon for the Jets. All right. Last but not least, Ravens at Bucks Monday Night Football. There's 2 Monday Night Football games this week. ESPN Plus will be playing the Chargers at the Cardinals. That's a really exciting game. But it's playing on it's exclusively playing on ESPN Plus. So if you don't have ESPN Plus, you can't watch the game. So we ain't calling the game. Ravens at Bucks is the Monday Night Football game that we will be calling here. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites at this point on the road against Tampa Bay. Levon had his statements to make about the Buccaneers and whether he believed that they were a top 10 team. Well, they're playing against a top 5 team in the Baltimore Ravens. So we'll see what happens here. Levon, I'm going to start with you. The Buccaneers are getting 3.5 points. The over-under is 49.5. What are you thinking?
I think Tampa Bay is good. I didn't want to make it seem like they're not, but I think their ranking is a little generous compared. The Ravens are a team. This is Ace's adopted team. He's a Bears fan, but he adopts the Ravens, and this is my team that I like to knock down because everybody likes to hoist them up. They're kind of like a poor man's Kansas City Chiefs that everybody gives the benefit of the doubt for whatever reason. I don't know. But they play to their competition every week. They just finally stopped giving up leads in the fourth quarter and started to close games out. And the best thing they could have done was get Derrick Henry when I guess everybody, including Tennessee, thought he was done. Tennessee, which is they had Derrick Henry still on the team now. Baltimore just doesn't impress me. They're like they're a regular season team, They're good regular season, but then when the lights come on, they will find a way to fall short. And Tampa Bay, I don't like Baker Mayfield for some reason. He's not a bad dude. He's got the right mentality, but for some reason, I just don't like Baker. I don't know why that is. I have to think deeply about where that comes from, where that stems from. All that to say, the Ravens will win this game because they're a regular season team. And, they play to their competition. And Tampa Bay is one of the better teams in the league. And if both teams are playing at their best, I take the Ravens to do their best better than Tampa Bay does their best. So give me the Ravens in this one.
All right, Ace, you're up.
As Levon said,
Ravens.
he said they're a
Pacing
regular
team.
season team, and it's still the regular season. So I'm going with the Ravens. How about that? Let's keep it short and simple. They got a better defense. They got the best safety. They're going to win. They got a better quarterback. They're going to win.
Ant.
Best running back in the league.
Buccaneers at home, right?
Yes.
They can play in the moon. It don't make a difference.
Yeah, it does make a difference. You know what the difference is? There's going to be a lot of cannon fire. I'm taking the Bucks, and I'm taking the under this one. I don't believe in the Ravens until they actually have a threat, in my opinion, for a passing game. In other words, passes more to my tight end I have in fantasy, and I'll believe in you more. But anyway, I'm taking the Buccaneers, and I'm taking the under in this one until Lamar starts passing to my tight end. That's all we'll go against you.
There it is. There's the bias. There it is right there. I'm going to take Baltimore as well. I'm going to lock this as my 5th lock of the week. I don't believe that the Bucks are a little bit up and down, in my opinion. Levon, you said the Ravens play to the level of their competition. I think the Bucks do as well. So they've been an up and down team pretty much the entire year. And I think that maybe the the sentiment around Baker Mayfield just surrounds around how much love and publicity he was getting, with Cleveland when he first got drafted. But he seemed to have humbled a little bit. But like you said, he's got the right mentality. He plays the right way. The guy, he plays hard and he's a winner. And they rally around him. So I think he's worthy of the contract that he got, and he's worthy of the opportunity to be the starter. But Baltimore is a step up in class, especially in the regular season. And I don't think Tampa Bay is gonna be able to play with them. So I'll take Baltimore and the over, and it's my 5th lock of the week.
Can I ask
All
you
right.
something though before you can move on?
Yeah.
You and Levon, since I said you have a little funny thing about Baker Mayfield, do y'all feel that he's some type of comparison to Johnny Manziel, maybe? That mentality type of thing? Because I know people sometimes like to put them two together.
There was a little bit of I don't necessarily think I didn't necessarily feel that way about him. But I know there was a little bit of that because of how he was in Oklahoma. He was a little bit brash, a little bit, braggadocious and stuff like that. I didn't like Johnny Manziel because I didn't think he could throw the football. I wasn't think he was a good thrower of the football. Like I just didn't think he had a great arm. He wasn't very accurate. So it had nothing to do with like the personality or anything like that. I just think with Baker, I think with Baker, like I said, when he came into the league and he started getting all the State Farm commercials and he was playing for the Browns and they weren't, great.
It wasn't really all that, yeah.
It was like, why is
It's
this
like
guy
he
getting all
put
this
him up there
publicity?
like next to Patrick Mahomes type of thing.
Yeah, like why is he getting all this publicity? They haven't done anything yet.
Well,
And then when they started doing something, and you started like being like, okay, Baker's not bad. He's actually playing well. Then they traded him. And then like he went through like this, NFL purgatory for like 3 years, which I think he was good enough to not deserve that. But yeah. Levon, what about you?
Man, so much going on. I'm watching stuff. I got so many questions about stuff that's not football. But to the question, Baker, like I said, it's weird because he's got the mentality you want your quarterback to have. He's very confident in himself. He's bold. His teammates seem to rally around him and like him. He's decided all of the qualities you want. He's Tom Brady in his own mind. The problem is he's done nothing that Tom Brady has done. He has none of the accolades. He's proven absolutely nothing. So I guess maybe subconsciously that rubs me the wrong way. And what's even crazier is all the pub he was getting, the commercials. Those commercials were great. Like those commercials where he was in the stadium and doing all of that stuff. Well, it was well thought out, well acted. It was really good, better than some of the crap that these athletes been putting out now that is just bad. These guys can't act. It's poorly done. It's cheesy. But, his commercials and all that stuff were good. It's just that he didn't do anything to back it up. And that rubbed people the wrong way. And you can't, it has to be a balance. It has to be a balance. Tom Brady had that balance. He was cocky, he was confident, he'd scream and do all that stuff, and he was winning. So it was fine. Patrick Mahomes isn't very cocky, but he's winning. So if he is, it's fine. If he does do it, he can back it up. But Baker has nothing to back up his braggadocious demeanor. So, but Johnny Manziel, that's an insult to Baker. That's an insult to him. Johnny Manziel was just a flat out bust that did nothing. Baker has at least 2 good seasons under his belt.
Baker won a playoff game with the Browns in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback. It's just that they're playing Lamar Jackson, who just, for whatever reason, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks because he just finds a way to make it happen.
I don't know. That's a whole nother
He's been
subject
super accurate the past couple of weeks. So there's only one team he really can't beat, and that's Kansas City. And they're not Kansas City.
And Tennessee.
He's beating Tennessee.
That was years ago. And they've beaten him. I don't know why you love Lamar so much, but put that away.
I don't know why you don't like Baker.
He's overrated. I said why I don't like Baker. He's confident and he hasn't done anything to back it up. He's not the confidence, but he's braggadocious. But
he can ball.
Lamar Jackson is as overrated as they come when it comes to people getting on and they act like he is the NFL version of Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
2 MVPs. Two.
Whoosh. And I think that's crazy in itself. I think that's crazy in itself. That man is as overrated as they come at the position he plays. To me, sorry. I will not relent on that. I think people look at him and his whole story from jump, where he got drafted and what they said he could and couldn't do. People gravitated toward that. It's the opposite of Baker. Total opposite. Underestimated him, insulted him. So people gravitated toward him. And as soon as he had just a hint of success, it was like, whoa. And he's been riding that wave ever since. But all of that, I mean, what has he done since then? What really? He's got the MVPs, but it's like, okay, I'm not downgrading the MVPs, but it's like,
A little bit.
MVP in the NFL is kind of suspect as it is. It's like the quarterback always wins, even though quarterback doesn't necessarily have the most value amongst his team and in the league. But that's a whole nother. We could talk about hours for that. But I like Lamar.
Are we going to talk the Chargers game or no?
No.
Well, Malik
No,
said
we don't care about those. We don't care
Chargers are my fifth lock of the week. They're -2.5. They're going to rock them. Their defense is amazing. And what's his name is finally healthy. Herbert. So go Bolts.
Okay.
Just so y'all know. I think that's the
Lamar's
easiest bet of the week. Lamar's not my lock, but I'm picking him. And if you don't have ESPN, hey, you're missing out. Get ESPN Plus. It's worth it.
I don't even know if I
You can watch all the MAC conference games.
That's great. Yeah.
Go UB.
That's a reason to go. That's a reason to buy it. All right. Before we get to our shout outs, we'll do a quick recap. So Ace's best bets are Houston over the Packers, Cincinnati. Wait, do you have Cincinnati?
Yes, I did.
Okay, Cincinnati,
Philly,
the Browns, Philly over the Giants, Pittsburgh over the Jets, and the Cardinals over. I'm sorry, the Chargers over the Cardinals.
I want to ask Ace a question.
Well, let me just get through this rundown first, and then we'll get to your question before we do it. Ant's best bets are Buffalo over Tennessee, Cincinnati over the Browns, Atlanta over the Seahawks, KC over the 49ers, and his New York Jets beating the Steelers. My best bets are Buffalo over the Titans as well, Philadelphia over the Giants, Rams beating the Raiders, Washington covering against the Carolina Panthers, and Baltimore over the Bucks. And Levon has two best bets this week: Cincinnati over the Bengals, Cincinnati over the Browns, and his New York Football Giants beating the Philadelphia Eagles. Before we get into shout outs, Levon, what do you want to ask?
This question is rather long-winded, but I'm gonna ask it, and I want Ace to think about it and answer. But if you guys want to answer after we do shout outs, then that's fine. So MVPs. We've been watching football a long time. Quarterback MVPs: Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. Let's just use those. Let's use those three.
Yeah.
At the peak of their careers, you could not name 5 quarterbacks you would take over them.
Over who?
You couldn't name 5 quarterbacks at Brett Favre's peak when he won the Super Bowl and he was riding high with Green Bay.
96, got you, yeah.
You Peyton Manning when he was riding high with the Colts at his
06,
peak.
yeah.
You couldn't name 5 quarterbacks. Tom Brady might be the one because I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but at Tom Brady's peak, you couldn't name 5 quarterbacks. You telling me you can't name 5 quarterbacks right now you would rather have on your team than Lamar Jackson? And I'm asking you.
We're talking, you mean active players or all time?
No, we're talking active. We're talking right now.
Oh, no, there aren't 5. No, there aren't 5.
You can't name 5 quarterbacks right now. That proves
legitimately. Right now, no.
Yeah.
In the league, active,
correct.
No, there aren't 5 guys.
In the league right now, you would not have.
There's 2 guys I might take over him, but not 5.
Not 5.
No, 5 is a lot.
5 is a lot.
Because what you're saying is he's the 6th best quarterback in the NFL, and that's not true. That's obviously not true.
What I'm saying is, if I was to build a team, considering window, considering potential, there are 5 quarterbacks I would take over him right now. I can't say that about Mahomes. I can't even say that about Josh Allen, but I can say that, and I'm including those 2. I can say that about Lamar Jackson. I know I can. You
If
said
you-
you can. I wonder what Malik and Ant think, but you said you can't think of 5, and I just named 2 that I would take over him
But
easily.
Give me the other 3 then.
C.J. Stroud,
Okay.
Jordan Love,
Wow. Okay.
Joe Burrow.
Okay.
I would borderline say Justin Herbert.
Wow. That's
And
insulting.
that's it. Well, I said borderline. But those others that I mentioned, Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Stroud, and Love, that is without a doubt. And that's considering Stroud and Love based on window and potential because they're both younger. And I think Burrow, Allen, and Mahomes are just flat better, and they're still younger, and they have their windows. And Mahomes has already won twice or 3 times. Is it twice?
3.
3 times. And that's just me. That's off top. I haven't even gone too deep thinking about it, but that's just off top. And you being a Bears fan, and you just drafted Caleb Williams, and you I'm just saying, really, if you had a team and you were building a team, and you had a choice to pick somebody from scratch to say, yeah, this is my quarterback. This window is the window I want. And you say you can't think of 5 QBs. I think that's very interesting.
Lamar Jackson is 27 years old.
I didn't say he was old.
Joe Burrow is also 27 years old.
I take Joe over him.
And Justin Herbert is 26 years old.
That's borderline. That's
so when you say window, it doesn't make any sense because they're all in their late 20s.
That's only one. I only say window to consider Love and Stroud because they really don't have the accolades or to prove it yet.
They're not as good as him.
Their windows are larger because they're younger and they have less tread.
I had this too. Not put in the age or whatever. Those guys actually have a little bit more of a dimension than Lamar because Lamar they keep talking about that he holds them back with the passing thing.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious. All of those guys are better throwers of the football than him. I mean that's not even close.
I actually will put Caleb Williams ahead of him.
I wouldn't do that yet.
As far as potential is concerned, I'm just saying
I wouldn't do that yet.
The thing is that I'm not going by how they are now. The way I'm thinking about it, I'm not going how they are now. I'm going by how the maximum potential can be.
Yeah, I mean
that's the only reason I'm thinking about these younger guys like Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels or even Love. That's the only reason I would think about them of how the potential they can be and what more of a dimension they can add onto it as well.
True enough. Jaden Daniels is right up there, but it's just 1 year. I don't like to do the 1 year thing because that's not fair to Lamar. But if Caleb and Jaden next year take a step, oh yeah.
As of right now,
you would never say that about Manning, Brady, or Favre. No rookie, no Donovan as good as
Brett Favre is a compiler.
But listen,
he's thrown the most interceptions in the history of the NFL.
But when Brett Favre was at his prime, I'm talking Brett Favre was at his prime, it did not matter. You would not take anybody over him. Not 5, maybe 1 or 2.
There's 5 guys I could have named when he played that I would have taken over him.
Just to let you know, wait, before you name them, just to let you know on my point of view on this. I'm only going by the potential. But if you're going by right now, after Patrick Mahomes is Lamar Jackson. If you're just going by that right now. But if you're going by potential and you stretch out their careers, whatever, because Lamar has gotten better or whatever, but I don't see him getting better as a passer than he is right now. I think
it's no way
on that part.
I would say Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson doesn't have Josh Allen by much when it comes to mobility, effectiveness-wise. We all know athleticism, it's not even a contest, but Josh is very effective running the ball almost just as much as Lamar is. Almost just as much.
I think Lamar's a little bit smarter than Josh Allen because Josh Allen kind of takes that too much, when he turns into that Superman mode. That's the reason why I put Lamar above him on that one.
Everybody has an opinion on it. I mean, I respect that.
Let me give you my quick top 5 of quarterbacks I'd rather have than Brett Favre, who played when he played.
Okay, go ahead.
John Elway, Troy Aikman, Steve Young.
Oh, shit, no.
Dan Marino.
No.
Peyton Manning, and Warren Moon.
All right, folks, he goes another hour.
Okay.
He goes another hour tape.
First of all, you spanned I don't know how many
span the 90s.
Generations.
I span the 90s. Everybody who played from 1990, 1999, when he was in his prime.
Respect.
I span the 90s. Is Elway better than him?
Okay.
He wasn't in his
First of
prime in
all,
1990.
that's not even.
But-
Yeah,
But no,
LA
during the
Elway
90s, he was
wasn't
in his prime from
No.
96 to 99.
Who?
Okay, so those 3 years. Okay.
Elway, I mean,
That's
Favre.
crazy.
Favre.
And all I'm saying is Elway beat him those last 2 years. He won 2 Super Bowls in a row to end his career.
I hardly consider that Elway's prime.
He
though.
literally
But okay, I
beat
give you that.
he literally beat the Green Bay Packers.
Ace, I'll give you that. But
Who was
let's
better
talk
than
about-
him?
Let's talk
Because
about
that's what you
Lamar.
asked me.
Let's talk about Lamar. You
Lamar
can.
Jack, there's only 2 quarterbacks I'd rather have
You're
right
crazy,
now.
and you
is-
are on your own on that one. Except for
It's
people
no,
in
it's the
Baltimore.
2 quarterbacks I would rather
mom.
have is Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Everyone else is behind him.
Yikes.
Because no one else has made it to the Super Bowl except those 2 guys who are active. I guess you can count Joe Flacco, but he's 39 years old. So let's keep it for
So
real.
we're just talking about straight playoffs.
No, it's who's going to get you there. I need
Get
someone
to
who
the
I think can get
playoffs.
me there. Who can get me to the Super
So
Bowl?
what about
who gives me a
Jalen
chance
Hurts?
to win?
Jalen Hurts has been to a Super Bowl. Lamar hasn't. You
I
take
think
Jalen Hurts.
I think he's better than Jalen Hurts.
But I mean, you're talking about Super Bowls and playoffs. That's just what your argument seems to
The
be
tush
based.
push
think
doesn't
he's-
exist no more.
I think he's better than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts had a much better team overall.
But you are basing this off of every time you talk, you're like winning and playoffs and this.
Jalen Hurts, you could say
Jalen
Hurts, you could say is arguably better than him, right? You could say they're tied.
No,
right?
I would not. I would say Lamar is head and shoulders.
He got his team to the Super Bowl. They lost by a field goal to Patrick
Jalen
Mahomes.
Hurts is team move.
Malik is just Malik. You gotta just sit there. I
don't know what you want.
I'm letting y'all go because I just
it's crazy. What are we?
It's funny to me. Look, I mean, I'll just say this, and then Ace, we could get into the shout out. Ace, you did look. Y'all, we could talk all night for all I care. You the one got to edit this.
He's still recording this?
Yeah, we are still recording.
I just want Ace to admit his bias. I mean, admit your bias.
We need to have you on record to admit your bias.
That's all I want. I just want him to admit his bias. It's okay to have it. I admitted it today. Anthony has admitted his. Just admit your bias.
If anybody who's listening to this show thinks that I'm biased, please email us at theparlaypickshow@gmail.com or make a comment on the podcast on Spotify.
I mean, we watched. Oh, come on.
The reason why I tend to agree with Levon in this case is because if the question is if I'm starting a team, who is the quarterback that I want to pick? The problem with that question as it pertains to Lamar is that I actually have other questions before I can pick Lamar. I want to know who's my coach. I want to know who's my offensive line. I need to know some things because Lamar is not effective in a bunch of different offensive schemes and a bunch of different offensive systems. I don't see Lamar as an effective player in every scheme, in every system. I don't think Lamar would be good as a traditional drop back passer playing in like the Lions offense. I don't think that Lamar would be great as playing in a lot of different offenses in the NFL. There is a world where Lamar Jackson is second in this list of quarterbacks that I would take, but it is highly dependent upon the people that are surrounding Lamar and the offensive system that he's going to be in. Okay. And because of that, I'm saying I'm taking at least, if you're just saying just brass tacks for how you play the quarterback position and all other things being equal, there's at least 7 quarterbacks I'm taking before Lamar Jackson. 7.
And I mean, you can make it simple.
Another one here.
Make it simple.
Because
if it's your Lions, you got to pick a quarterback other than Goff for your Lions, or you have your pick of anybody. Where is he at on the list?
Lamar. Okay. That's a good question.
Know your team, right? You know your team. Where's he at on the list?
No, I'm being dead honest. If I'm picking right now for my quarterback for Lamar's like 6th or 7th on the list.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Lamar 6th or 7th on the list. I'm obviously starting with Mahomes. I'm definitely going Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. That's my first 3.
That's like the top 3 in the league.
That's my first 3. I'm definitely going with Stroud because I know what he can do when he has time and he's just able to sit in the pocket and pick apart guys. I'm a little bit hedging on Love just because Levon, you said the 1 year thing. You're not crazy about. Love has only played like 1 full year.
Yeah,
so
he's
far,
only
so
played like he's been hurt.
I'm going to hedge a little bit on Love. And even with Stroud, but I know I had a pretty good idea about Stroud coming in. I like Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is in a bad situation, but I think in the Lions offense, oh man, with Ben Johnson as his play caller, please come on. I would absolutely take him. And yeah, and then I'm probably looking at I'm just trying to think of the other quarterbacks that are around in that I can think of. I mean,
That'd be him right there.
Yeah, there's at least
you can even
6.
take Stafford back.
It's too old.
Oh, no, for this team this year, I'd take Stafford.
I mean,
because again, you're talking about this Lions team with this offensive line. This would be me. This would be the. What I'm just saying. This would be me saying like, this team what does this Lions team need? It needs a traditional quarterback that can drop back, that can, 5-step, 3-step, 7-step drop, and get the ball on time, on schedule to his receivers, and
what
let them
team
make
doesn't
plays.
need that, Malik? It kills me when you try to.
But what I'm saying is a team that's led by Lamar Jackson doesn't necessarily need that.
And what team is
team
that?
That's led by him?
What team
his
is
team?
that? What team
his
is that?
team?
Just
his team,
team.
the Baltimore
Do you know
Ravens.
why? Because they have to play that way.
Much more consistent play from Lamar Jackson than I've seen from Jalen Hurts.
All right, we get into these shoutouts.
Anyhow, let's get to the
shoutouts.
Let's get to the shoutouts. Levon, I'm gonna start with you because you usually have a couple of shoutouts.
Usually I have through the week. I have ideas and then I forget them when the show's on. But I haven't forgot this because it's fresh on my mind, and I don't know if it's getting enough credit. Even myself, I haven't been paying much attention to it, just off and on until these last couple of games. I've really, really been paying attention. But shout out to the W and shout out to the Liberty. It's been compelling this year, and I haven't watched a ton of games, but from the draft, and Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and the attention that they've brought to the sport, and the fact that I think it's taken a real step and it's gotten some attention, and it's not a bad thing. And I think they need to be recognized. And, I can see that they're not getting the same attention that the other sports get, even when they have games like they had last night. And you got commentators and analysts, who obviously didn't watch the game, trying to comment on it and do the highlights, and they're fumbling over their words because they didn't watch it and they don't know what's about to happen. And I just think it's disrespectful because the product, it wasn't always, worthy, but it has become worthy. And I think, people should start to pay attention and maybe, give it its due because, it was compelling this year, more interesting than a lot of the stuff, or just as interesting as a lot of the stuff we pay attention to every day when it comes to men's sports. So shout out to the W. And shout out to the W. And the finals are going to be a best of 7 next year instead of a best of 5. So that's my one shout out.
All right. I'm going to disagree with Levon a little bit there. Women's college basketball has been more exciting than men's college basketball for years. That's been consistent for years. And the WNBA, despite it didn't get a lot of credit because they played during the summer, but the WNBA has been very interesting for a long time as well. If you haven't paid attention, you just haven't paid attention, but it's actually been really good for a pretty long while. In terms of the level of skill and the level of play at the top. The biggest problem I've had with the WNBA overall is this lack of parity. And number one, I think that there was an interesting stat that I just saw about the W. I think, and I'm going to get the actual number, but I think in the last 10 or 12 seasons, every single WNBA finals has had a player from UConn on it, which just tells you how dominant that school has been over the course of the years. And that is a main thing. When you get players from UConn, those players tend to get in and they run the league. There's a lack of parity in the league. It has existed for a while. This is probably the first year that I can remember where the parity is seemingly, it seems to be, coming to fruition. And that's making it even more interesting. But the W has been interesting, and women's college basketball has been very interesting for the past, at least the last 5 years, in my opinion. Ace.
Shout out to my New York Liberty, who are one game away from winning a championship, their first chip. They're bringing it back to the city. I know that they play at the Barclays, but they got a much better owner, which is why they had to move there. Shout out to my university at Buffalo Bulls, who are undefeated in the MAC conference and are playing Western Michigan at home, and hopefully can go to 3-0 and play for a conference championship game, which is the first time they've done that since in 16 years, so since 2008. And shout out to my Bulls for my Bears being undefeated internationally and getting me some money last week. And shout out to all the college football teams that are undefeated and aren't getting their due in the rankings. Iowa State, Miami, y'all should be much, much higher. And Army and Navy are undefeated for the first time together at 6-0 since 1944. Go ahead, Ant.
I'm just gonna give a couple of little shout outs. I actually can't believe I'm saying this. Shout outs to Woody Johnson. He actually kind of went kind of a little bananas on this, and he's doing what Jerry Jones should be doing. As far as we want to go all in, push the chips to the table. The team's gonna suck in a couple of years, but whatever. Shout outs to him. Shout outs to also to Jamal Adams. He got released today by the Tennessee. He wanted to get released. Shout outs to him. Never come back to the Jets. Screw you. Ever since you talked about it's not even about talking about to the Jets fans because of what he did to Connor, I believe it was Connor Rogers is the name. He was talking about the guy's wife. Making it personal. So screw you. I don't give a hoot about you. Hopefully, no NFL team that's worth a salt ever signed you. Anyway, shout out to you. And of course, shout out to Devontae Adams. Let's win this week. Go Jets. Of course, I'm being biased, so whatever. I couldn't think of anything this week, so anyway, whatever.
Yep. Last but not least, me shout out to we've all done that already. Shout out to the W. Shout out to the Liberty for getting to the WNBA finals. Hopefully this time you've lost. This is the 6th trip for the Liberty to the WNBA finals. They have not won one yet. So hopefully this is the year that this actually happens and the Liberty are actually able to win this, and it starts a trend of New York sports trending in the right direction. We got the Knicks coming very, very soon after them. And hopefully we get the Yankees, the Yankees, not the Mets, but the Yankees, getting their push to the World Series. And hopefully this starts off a little run for New York sports. Shout out to Angel Reese, who recently went on Instagram or one of those social medias and mentioned the shocking disparity in pay with respect to the WNBA versus the professionals that play not in the NBA. The professional men that play in overseas make tons more money than the WNBA players who are playing here in the United States of America. Angel Reese, if you guys haven't heard, she went online and mentioned that her check for the entire season of the WNBA, the entire WNBA season was just under $74,000.
Correct.
That's what she made.
Yes. But that also means that every other rookie, the rookie of the year, also made $74,000 playing basketball.
Okay. I heard she couldn't pay her rent on that.
She said, that doesn't even pay my rent, and it makes me question, where are you living?
It doesn't pay her rent, but she made. But in contrast, she made $3 million in NIL at LSU.
Correct.
Her senior season at LSU, she made $3 million in NIL money, and she gets $75,000 from the pro team that she plays for in the WNBA. That is shocking.
That's how much these women want to be pros, because
that blows my mind.
The league is probably not making. It's just not making enough money to pay them more than that. It's got to be why.
But they're going to renegotiate their contract 2026. They got to.
I was about to say it's more of a players' association, players' union the situation than the league ain't making money, because when you look at their books, they're actually doing pretty well.
That's crazy,
especially now. But anyhow,
the past 4 years since 2020, they've been caking up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They need to renegotiate the collective bargain that up.
Yep, exactly. And they're about to get another TV deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
They're getting a
need
TV
to,
deal
yeah,
very
there
soon.
might be a strike
So they-
coming up. This is
So
crazy.
they need to make some money over there because it's ridiculous. Shout out to the New York Knicks. We did talk about this the trade for Karl Anthony Towns, but shout out to them. They're looking pretty good so far. Although Landry Shamet did get hurt in the preseason. Shout out to this. Shout out to the NBA. Now I can't stand why do we have 5 preseason games? Why? Why are there so many damn preseason games? These players need just let them practice for 2 weeks, give them a game or two, and let's move on to the regular season. Please stop it. We do not
How many
need all
spring
these
training
damn,
baseball games do they play?
but it's not that's not compared because guess what?
Well, why? Because
No,
nobody cares about either.
because spring training baseball they don't play, they play split squads. So they may play 30 spring training games, but Aaron Judge is
30?
probably playing 4.
Yes.
Right? Like the Yankees may play 30 spring training games. They have spring training leagues, but Aaron Judge ain't playing that many games. Garrett
That's
Cole's
fair.
pitching like 3 times, like in the entire thing. Like it's
You
not.
see how, but the thing is that you see what happened with the NFL with the preseason when you lowered it down a little bit. Players take forever to rev it up.
And the other thing about the Major League Baseball preseason is it tends to go right in. First of all, Major League Baseball rosters are much bigger in the in the minors, and it flows right into the minor league schedule. So those minor league players that are playing, they play those games, and then the pro players go and they start their major league schedule, and the minor league teams continue to play. So it's not like really, it's like the pro players are invading the minor league system to just get some swings in, and then they go on and do their thing.
They should
But
do
I
that with the
digress.
NBA.
But I digress. There is no reason that the NBA should be playing 5 preseason games. Shout out to last but not least, shout out to Paul George, because you clearly got out while the getting was good, because you knew what was happening with Kawhi Leonard's knee.
Oof.
And you got the hell up out of Dodge as soon as possible because Kawhi ain't playing, and there's no timetable for his return. That sucks for the Clippers, who just opened up a new stadium. They're trying to, steal some publicity away from the Lakers. This ain't the way to do it, fellas. Kawhi Leonard got paid. He got his extension. He got his contract. NBA
Chose the wrong guy.
Guaranteed. And the dude said, yeah, my knee ain't going to be able to do it, Captain. Ain't going to be able to do it. But still pay me my money. Still give me my bread. Keep them coming. But shout out to Paul George, because he saw the writing on the wall and he got the hell up out of Dodge as soon as possible. And shout out to James Harden, because dude, you're gonna shoot 40 shots a night. Like that's pretty much what we about to do.
That's crazy.
And we out.
We out.
Peace.
Howdy.